Ladies and gentlemen, dear guests, partners and friends, in the name of American Chamber of Commerce, I would like to welcome you on the third year of East Innovation Conference with a subtitle Magnet Cities. Today we will talk about how to transform our regions into magnets. Magnets for talents, for ambitious young people, magnet for life. In the second part of our conference, we will talk about this issue in the context of our current crisis. Teraz mi dovolte anglicky hovoriacim pripomenúť, že väčšina konferencie bude prebiehať v slovenčine, ale naši tlmočníci sa o vás postarajú. Prosím, vyberte si váš preferovaný jazyk vysielania na ľavej strane vášho panelu. Teraz sa vrátim späť do slovenčiny. My name is Eva Peknušiaková, and today I will accompany you through this virtual conference broadcasted from studio in Kosice. In the beginning, I would like to thank our sponsors and supporters. The main partners are Deutsche Telekom IT Solutions Slovakia and the US Embassy in the Slovak Republic. Event is also supported by Microsoft Czech Republic and Slovakia, US Steel Kosice, Global Logic, and Slovak American Foundation. We would like to also thank our friends from IT Valley and Creative Industry Kosice. Thanks to our exceptionally strong partners, an exceptionally strong group of speakers awaits us today. Allow me now to pass the word to the President of American Chamber of Commerce in Slovak Republic, Mr. Gabriel Galgoci. Your Excellency, Mr. State Secretary, ladies and gentlemen, precious guests, a long-term director of one of our main partners of this conference, Mr. Daniel Giebel, once called the quality of life in Kosice as the best-kept secret in Central Europe. I am very happy that the 26-years-old operation of American Chamber in Slovakia and 17 years old presence of AmCham in Kosice is still bearing fruit. I would like to remind you the existence of Kosice International School, which serves for the education of students of foreign managers, and it also allows education for local people who live in Kosice and who create the whole ecosystem in Kosice. According to this, AmCham organized, in cooperation with many partners, workshop where we presented this idea. And since September 2019, we were working hard in order to open the school in September. Today, we will have the possibility to speak with the director of this Kosice International School, and he will talk about how it works, what challenges are before them, and what are the possibilities of this school in the Kosice region. But today, it is not only about Kosice. In the last period, we are trying to develop cooperation with the city of Prešov, which aspires to obtain the title European Capital of Culture. These are impulses which could help jumpstart our regions. In the beginning of October, we met in Prešov within the new initiative of our chamber, within the initiative called Town Hall Meetings. And we want to build local partnerships between interactive self-governance and socially responsible companies. We would like to bring this initiative to Kosice as well. This conference could be successful only if each stakeholder will be able in the following weeks and months not only meet and talk about possibilities, but also take part in their realization. It is important to find synergies, interaction, and opportunities in our region, which would help to attract talent to our region. In the name of American Chamber, I would like to ask you for your help and your support. Today, we really need your help. We have to stay united because Slovakia stands before many challenges. There are many positive things which are ahead us. For instance, the use of new Euro funds, which could help us get through the impact of pandemic. We are very happy that our invitation to this conference was accepted by State Secretary of the Ministry of Investigation, Regional Development and Informatization, Mr. Marek Antal. East Slovakia is trailing behind many problems, and we would like to ask you to take part virtually. This conference will be virtual and most of all interactive. Therefore, we created and prepared for you many polls. And through these polls, we would like to know your opinion. There is Slido on the right side. There you can ask questions, and in the section polls, you will see the questions. If you have the application, you can use it on your mobile phones or tablets or computers. Use hashtag EIC, East Innovation Conference 2020, and explain your opinion. The first poll which we would like to introduce is Slovakia is trailing behind the EU average significantly in several economic indicators. What would be your primary concern in the role of policymaker when addressing these disparities? A lack of public funding of innovation in initiatives, brain drain, and lack of qualified workforce, infrastructure and accessibility of the region, poor investment climate compared to other CEE subregions, or other. The results of this poll will be evaluated later. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank our sponsors and supporters. I would like to thank mostly the American Embassy, which creates an area for us to get better. We are very happy that through a virtual conference, Mrs. Bridget Brink will talk now. Dobrý deň. Gabriel, ďakujem ti za príležitosť dnes sa k vám prihovoriť. Dovoľte mi privítať naše publikum z celého Slovenska. Je pre mňa cťou otvoriť tohoročnú konferenciu East Innovation Conference. Slovensko je spojencom NATO a dôležitým obchodným partnerom Spojených štátov. Mojou úlohou na Slovensku je zabezpečiť, aby sa naše vzťahy aj naďalej rozvíjali. Z môjho pohľadu to môžeme dosiahnuť najmä tak, že budeme hľadať spôsoby, ako ovplyvniť skutočné životy a finančné záujmy skutočných ľudí. A to si vyžaduje, aby sme sa zamerali na podnikanie, ktoré je hnacím motorom silných ekonomík a pracovných miest. Dnes by som chcela upriamiť pozornosť na profesie v technologickom priemysle, ktoré sú profesiami budúcnosti. Na tejto konferencii budeme diskutovať o tom, ako zmeniť východ Slovenska na magnet, ktorý priťahuje investície a podniky. Túto tému považujem za extrémne dôležitú a relevantnú z hľadiska môjho pôsobenia na Slovensku. Počas mojich návštev na východnom Slovensku som sa stretla s ľuďmi z podnikania, s politikmi a rôznymi lídrami, či už z Prešova alebo zo Sniny. Viem, že podniky v tomto regióne čelia ťažkostiam spojeným s priťahovaním talentov, investícií a s podporou existujúcich spoločností. Počula som taktiež, že obyvatelia, ako aj podniky na východe sa dychtivo snažia nájsť spôsoby, ako podporiť rast miestnej ekonomiky a priniesť do svojich domovov a rodín rovnakú úroveň prosperity, aká je v Bratislave. Dnes vám chcem ponúknuť niekoľko kľúčových ponaučení, ktoré si možno vziať z úspechov podnikov v Spojených štátoch a predstaviť spôsoby, akými môže partnerstvo Spojených štátov so Slovenskom posilniť podnikateľské prostredie v celej krajine. Verím, že investovaním do vzdelávania, podporovaním diverzity a neustálym budovaním infraštruktúry v rámci celej krajiny môžeme dosiahnuť to, aby východné Slovensko využilo svoj potenciál a stať sa skutočnou ekonomickou mocnosťou. Avšak otázka, ako priniesť príležitosti do regiónov s nižšou mierou obslužnosti, zostáva výzvou ako v Spojených štátoch, tak aj na Slovensku. V Spojených štátoch sme však okrem miest ako Silicon Valley v posledných rokoch pozorovali aj vznik mnohých živých startupových klastrov po celej krajine. Startupy zohrávajú v ekonomike Spojených štátov dôležitú úlohu. V porovnaní s tradičnými spoločnosťami vytvárajú pracovné miesta rýchlejšie a flexibilnejšie. Počas posledných 10 ročí, keď sa investovalo do tradičných technologických centier a došlo k zvýšeniu nákladov na život, novovzniknuté mestá v Spojených štátoch dokázali pritiahnuť startupy pomocou investovania do univerzít, vytváraním podpornej infraštruktúry a poskytovaním daňových a iných ekonomických stimulov. To prinieslo kapitálové investície. Okrem San Francisca a Seattlu aj mestá ako Raleigh v Severnej Karolíne, Minneapolis v Minnesote a Huntsville v Alabame budú svoje miestne ekonomiky priťahovaním nových začínajúcich spoločností. Tento celoplošný rozvoj startupov je kľúčovým komponentom každej národnej stratégie rastu. Celosvetová pandémia poskytla Slovensku príležitosť využiť vzdelávanie na podporu technológií, inovácií a podnikania. Keď som naposledy navštívila Košice, zistila som, že v roku 2007 odišlo z Košíc do iných miest až 65% absolventov univerzít, no v súčasnosti v Košiciach ostáva až 95% absolventov. Východné Slovensko má vynikajúce univerzity vrátane Technickej univerzity v Košiciach, ktorá vychováva jedny z najväčších IT talentov na Slovensku. Národný plán využitia európskych štrukturálnych fondov na reformu štátneho vzdelávacieho systému poskytuje príležitosť, ktorá sa vyskytne len raz za generáciu. Jednou z obrovských výhod amerického vzdelávacieho systému je sústredenie sa na riešenie problémov a kritické myslenie. Tento systém povzbudzuje mladých ľudí, aby si všímali výzvy a prinášali vlastné riešenia. Výsledky sa ukážu v dlhodobom hľadisku, kedy mladí podnikatelia, ktorí tieto zručnosti nadobudli v škole, začnú hľadať problémy v reálnom svete a prichádzať s riešeniami vo forme nových spoločností alebo technológií. Americké univerzity ako UC Berkeley ponúkajú programy, ktoré učia vedcov rozmýšľať ako podnikateľov a mnohí z absolventov si nakoniec aj založia vlastné spoločnosti. Veľmi sa teším na reformu slovenského školstva a na to, ako Slováci všetkých vekových skupín budú schopní pracovať s modernými osnovami zameranými na kritické zmýšľanie a podnikanie. Z takejto ohromnej investície do budúcnosti by mala užitok celá slovenská ekonomika. Keď som v auguste navštívila spoločnosť US Steel, urobilo to na mňa obrovský dojem, ako spoločnosť podporuje školy a univerzity v meste, aby podnietila rast talentov. Videla som tiež snahu tejto spoločnosti o zvýšenie diverzity. To považujem za kľúč k ďalšiemu rozvoju východného Slovenska. Hovorila som s vedením ženskej siete spoločnosti US Steel. Ide o združenie zamestnankyň, ktoré organizujú udalosti pre ženy z celej spoločnosti, prijímajú mladé ženy z miestnych škôl a organizujú porady, ktorých cieľom je naučiť ich profesionálnym zručnostiam. Tieto snahy pomohli spoločnosti zvýšiť počty žien vo vedúcich pozíciách z nuly pred 20 rokmi na súčasných 30%. Tak ako je toto dôležitou hodnotou, tak je to aj dôležitým obchodným modelom. Štúdia McKinsey z roku 2015 zistila, že spoločnosti, ktoré majú väčšiu zamestnaneckú rozmanitosť, dosahujú nadpriemerné finančné výnosy. Štúdia za štúdiou dosahuje, že rôznorodé tímy sú úspešnejšie v riešení problémov a sú taktiež produktívnejšie a úspešnejšie. Avšak aj v rámci US Steelu, ktorý patrí do najvyššie plateného odvetvia v Košiciach, je v IT pozíciách zamestnaných iba 12% žien. To predstavuje obrovské množstvo nevyužitého talentu na čoraz konkurenčnejšom trhu práce. Problémy technického odvetvia či celosvetové problémy nevyriešime, ak sa o to budeme pokúšať iba so zlomkom inteligenčnej sily sveta. Ambasáda USA pravidelne spolupracuje so slovenskými neziskovými organizáciami, ktoré pracujú na zvýšení účasti žien v štúdiu STEM predmetov, napríklad občianske združenie IT v IT. Je jasné, že spoločnosti, ktoré podporujú viacero pohľadov a aktívne prijímajú zamestnancov s rôznym vzdelaním, sú dlhodobo oveľa živšie, kreatívnejšie a úspešnejšie. Pracovať na lepšej pracovnej integrácii žien a iných minorít vrátane rómskej populácie je nielen správnym krokom, ale aj veľmi múdrym krokom a pomôže to posilniť východné Slovensko, čo sa odzrkadlí vo vzniku viacerých pracovných miest a vyššej životnej úrovne. Videla som ten veľký potenciál, ktorý existuje v tejto krajine. Minulý august som dokonca mala príležitosť stretnúť sa s lídrami Košice IT Valley. Povedali mi, že v roku 2007 zamestnával IT sektor v Košiciach iba 1000 ľudí. No dnes ich už zamestnáva viac ako 15 000. Počas tohto obdobia technológia vzrástla z 2 na 12% v rámci regionálneho HDP. Predstavili mi taktiež niektoré z najinovatívnejších technologických spoločností v Košiciach a videla som, akí nabudení boli v rámci rastu technologického priemyslu mimo hlavného mesta. Avšak bolo pre nich náročné získať dostatok zahraničných investícií na to, aby priemysel v tomto regióne mohol naplno rásť. Dôvodom bol nedostatok infraštruktúry. Povedali mi, že neprítomnosť diaľnice medzi Košicami a Bratislavou, fakt, že prvá medzinárodná škola v Košiciach sa otvorila iba túto jeseň a obmedzená letecká doprava do mesta sú hlavnými faktormi, ktoré prispievajú k tomu, že východné Slovensko je pre zahraničný kapitál zložitým miestom na investovanie. Slovenská ekonomika sa nemôže považovať za úspešnú, ak je úspešnou iba v Bratislave. Úsilie Slovenska budovať infraštruktúru mimo hlavného mesta zvýši prosperitu naprieč celou krajinou spravodlivejším spôsobom. V tomto smere je Amerika partnerom Slovenska a to v nemalej miere. Vďaka mnohým americkým spoločnostiam, ktoré sa rozhodli urobiť si na východnom Slovensku svoje pobočky. US Steel zamestnáva takmer 11 000 ľudí z Košíc a aktívne sa podieľa na podporovaní miestnych charít a škôl. Global Logic darovala peniaze na nákup ventilátorov pre fakultnú nemocnicu v Žiline a taktiež spolupracovala na rozvoji STEM vzdelávania v predškolských zariadeniach. Spoločnosť NES, okrem toho, že podporuje školy a dotuje lokálny útulok pre bezdomovcov, je aj hlavným partnerom HC Košice, najúspešnejšieho hokejového klubu v histórii Slovenska. Aj napriek jeho malej veľkosti na globálnom trhu zaznamenal slovenský technologický sektor mnoho úspechov a v Spojených štátoch pokračuje v spolupráci a v investovaní. Spoločnosti Asset, Slido a Exponea otvorili svoje pobočky v Spojených štátoch. V roku 2018 si spoločnosť HB Reavis zakúpila menšinový podiel v centre Cambridge Innovation Center. Minulý rok americká spoločnosť Lyft odkúpila slovenský technologický startup Blue Vision Lab za takmer $100 miliónov. Chceme, aby slovenské spoločnosti vedeli, že Spojené štáty sú ich partnerom a že to dokazujú svojimi skutkami. Som nadšená z toho, ako konferencia East Innovation Conference dokáže pomáhať regiónom mimo hlavného mesta napredovať. Americká ambasáda je hrdá na prácu, ktorú na Slovensku robí AmCham a americké spoločnosti. Dúfame, že budeme pokračovať v podpore AmChamu a ich vízie Slovenska ako globálne konkurencieschopnej krajiny, ktorá napreduje v dynamickej a inovatívnej globálnej ekonomike. Ešte raz ďakujem za možnosť prihovoriť sa dnes k vám, prajem vám veľa šťastia, teším sa na podporu nášho spoločného cieľa, ktorým je robiť všetko preto, aby sme podporili ekonomický rast a vitálnosť východného Slovenska. Ďakujem. Our conference is gaining momentum in the beginning. In a while, we will welcome a precious guest, Mr. Marek Antal, State Secretary of the Ministry of Investitions, Regional Development and Informatization. Subsequently, there will be Marcel Giboda, Vice Mayor of Kosice. First, the talk will be about key question of our conference, how to transform Eastern Slovakia to magnet. That talk will be done by Director of Creative Industry Kosice, Michal Hladký. Then there will be a discussion between Peter Kolesar from Civita and Raymond Tam, Vice Mayor of Tartu. Now I would like to pass the word to Mr. Antal and to moderator of this discussion, President of AmCham, Gabriel Galgoci.
Hello, Mr. State Secretary. I'm really glad that you accepted our invitation to this virtual conference. Right now, we'll talk about how the Ministry of Investments, Regional Development and Informatization sees the development of Eastern Slovakia. Now, let's have a look at the results of the first poll that we introduced at the beginning. So if I look at it the right way, that the most votes were for a brain drain and lack of qualified workforce and the exclusion of marginalized groups. The second place was the infrastructure and accessibility of the region. Please now let's have a look at this as a citizen from Eastern Slovakia. Which option would you choose? What would be the policy that you, as a citizen who knows Eastern Slovakia from the point of view of functioning, where all of your friends and family are there, what would be the option that you would choose? Thank you very much. First, I would like to welcome everyone. Her Excellency, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really glad to be here today with you and to talk to you, even if just in such a virtual way. I'm really glad that this conference is dedicated to my homeland, Kosice. Right now, I'm functioning in Bratislava, but I go to business trips back to Slovakia, Kosice. It's a place where I had my own professional career going on, and I know a lot about these problems as well as opportunities. And I really agree with the results of the poll. More than 16% of students of universities study abroad. My children are not an exception, they also studied abroad. And it's the best that leaves Slovakia. The brain drain is our biggest problem. And if we want to talk about innovations, there must be so many things done and fulfilled so that we achieve some conditions which would allow us to transfer from where Kosice are today, even if we have IT Valley, but through cooperation of those that like the region and who brought these projects. It considers mainly services. And now the question is how to move forward from the point where we have great number of experts in different areas. And now I'm talking about the area of informatization, but it considers also other fields. So we need to move it to make the exponential growth of these services. So now, as the State Secretary of this ministry, what are the priorities of the central government relating to this? I might later ask you how is it like to come back to your hometown for business trips. But what are the priorities of the central government relating to the creation of an innovation ecosystem in Eastern Slovakia? There are several lines. The topic is how to bring innovations, but not only innovations, to Kosice. I think that there are so many young people leaving, and I see it that this is the thing that we need to stop immediately and think about it. Education is also one of the points we need to deal with, not only on elementary schools and high schools, but some kind of lifelong learning where we need to invest much more. We talk a lot about the fourth industrial revolution with robotics, automation, etc. And it will impact a lot of jobs. And the only solution is the lifelong learning. We have many concepts prepared. And it's one of the points on the list, and it's on the top of that list as a priority. I am also responsible for digitalization of public services of state administration, and we definitely may invest millions, and the quality won't change. And how public officials, considering their digital literacy and how they can use all the tools, it won't bring a change. In terms of education on schools, business, this is the top priority. Thank you very much. So it actually corresponds with the poll results. Now I'd like to paraphrase of one, I don't want to name a person. Now we're talking about regions and how to move them forward. Where do you as the ministry see these challenges in considering the cooperation with town, considering some initiatives that you all already mentioned? So how do you see it? What are the challenges? What are the areas where we can become better, which work and which should be supported from the point of view of the ministry for Eastern Slovakia? The support of regions is our top priority. And that's actually the reason why I wanted to get into politics. I have no other ambitions. It's also the top priority of the party that I represent, and it's also my personal priority. We will benefit from the second stage or phase of EU funds. We don't want to do it in that way that it would be decided in Bratislava. We want to decide that on the level of regions, those regions have to know how to cooperate with each other, how to make a plan of integrated territory strategy. So it shouldn't be divided. This will go to the town, this will go to the region. It should be a complex plan of the region so that it developed in synergy. And these are our priorities, and the decision making will be moved to lower levels. So far, there hasn't been such a strategy. Our ministry took over some other competencies. Yeah, it used to be a lower priority, and nowadays it's top priority, and I hope there will be results visible in a short time. We'll really have our fingers crossed for you, and I really think that we will do anything to help you and to support you. We believe that we'll also be able to help towns, regions, and stakeholders, and to help them define their own priorities, initiatives, and then to subsequently help them with implementation. I already mentioned this. Slovakia expects the new use of EU funds, and there is this EU Recovery Fund, partnership agreement. Are there any other funds that from the previous stage So Slovakia shouldn't have big trouble with financial resources. In the media, we see a lot of discussions how to invest the money in the right way to jumpstart some kind of transformation. So how does this ministry plan to use these investments? Is there a plan for the division or allocation of the money to regions already prepared, if we talk about regional development as such? Yeah, right. The process of developing this plan is not so direct. It's new for me. I came from a different environment into a really much complex environment. But yes, we have a plan. And actually tomorrow and on Thursday, we want to debate with the public about this plan. And tomorrow we have the fourth online consultation on the topic Innovative Slovakia. And I also invite you, if you want to take part or send any comments that you have. You may find all necessary information on mirri.sk webpage, which is the webpage of our ministry. We don't have a little resources. The previous period actually hasn't even finished. It should go on until 2023. Then we work on the partnership agreement until 2021, and we put a real focus on the public administration. We try to put that in the right order. And we try to focus more on the digital economy development. So we try to help existing firms, small and medium-sized. We try to help them digitalize, to educate their employees so that they are ready for the next period. But nowadays, where Corona kind of hinders our functioning, where the requirement to be present in the online or virtual environment, there is a very low percent of small and medium-sized enterprises who are able to join the supplier chain and to transfer to this digital world. So this will be our priority. The second priority is, of course, education, as I already mentioned. There is also this priority of helping to jumpstart new companies and new innovative ideas. We have done that, and actually right now there is the evaluation of innovative hubs going on, and we created a challenge where business partners, the academy, universities, with the help of state institutions, were able to create a cluster. Should it be in the field of transport, power engineering, healthcare system, and to give some new innovative ideas. And these ideas will be moved forward and supported with the EU fund money. Right now we are evaluating 5 such projects, and they are equally subdivided in whole Europe, including also Žilina, Kosice, Bratislava, and others. I'm really glad that the allocation is really equal. But this model brings the identification of those fields that we would like to see some more deep development. We'd like to create such hubs on the national level as well, so we allocate money that will try to give clusters of companies and academy with the presence of the state. for those areas that have a future. We're talking about artificial intelligence, applications in the field of healthcare, the fight against hoaxes, and it may be also some exotic fields as well, like in the fields where we have a lot of experts. There are also people in Kosice who understand new fields which are not mainstream nowadays, but in several years we may have such people. So this is the way we would like to allocate the resources to support the creation of centers. If we succeed, we not only stop brain drain, but we will be also able to attract experts from abroad. You mentioned that you come from an IT sector, from the IT sector. The idea of creating this state IT house in Kosice should support that people in Kosice are able to take care of all IT services for whole Slovakia, and I think it's a really good idea and we will support you. How do you see, what is, according to you, the impact of such state IT house in Eastern Slovakia in a mid-term or long-term period? We decided to do this for several reasons, and I'm really glad that we managed to do this in a very short period of time. Following the decision to do this, and the actual incorporation was just 6 weeks. None of us even imagined that it would be possible, and we managed to do this, and I'm really glad for that. This state IT house, these are the questions that I get often. It shouldn't be a competition. It shouldn't violate intrude the labor market in Kosice. We're trying to avoid this completely. But at the same time, it may cooperate with universities and with something that probably private sector companies cannot do. So this is our priority, to help also the academy. And the whole ecosystem in Kosice will benefit from this, finally. I have to say that the environment is really, really different. These projects are extremely interesting. I couldn't come up with a better word for this, but they are really interesting. With such projects, experts in Kosice can get such projects. We're not talking about that they have to be there their whole career. But there must be someone, probably there will be some people who will want to go to foreign countries, but will come to Slovakia for 2 or 3 years to help Slovakia, because Slovakia really needs help. And actually, this sector is in the hand of business people, and we need to cut this. So Slovakia should really benefit from this. We have our fingers crossed for you. Today we're talking about magnet cities, and probably for this reason, this state IT house could probably help attract some experts from abroad, maybe Slovaks who are living abroad today but would like to come back. They will see that there are some interesting job positions, so we believe that this will really help move us forward, and also to move forward the e-government, so that us, the citizens, can benefit from this as well. Probably the last question, because we don't have a lot of time, even if there are a lot of topics that we could talk about. State companies don't have the possibility or motivation to generate new ideas. You already mentioned some supercomputer center that within which you would like to stimulate new innovations. or to support young people who leave high quality high schools or universities in the region. Is there a chance that something like a second asset grows in Kosice, or a really, really innovative company that will not only function in Slovakia, but will also be able to expand into Europe and maybe help promote Slovakia as a digital and advanced IT country? I really hope that this will come true. And I think it's a further essential step. I watched this market in Kosice. At the beginning, there were some companies which came and brought low value, added value in terms of labor. For the past years, the situation has changed dramatically. There are so many examples in Kosice. The research and development in the right sense, and everyone is doing it. Even those who came traditionally in order to maybe provide some remote support or just services. But this market changed because there were new small companies and or some cells. I don't want to call it startups, but some, let's say, freelancer who want to work for their own. But I believe that from this whole mass, there will be something new. The state cannot manage this. The state is not the one to say the final word, but the state may create conditions for that. And these conditions are reside in the help of universities, and especially those in Kosice, to show that it's a really good name, and that what they do, they will also support provide to their students, and that it will become something like Brno, innovation hubs where people have space to implement their ideas or to develop them. So why am I talking about this? A lot of these IT experts working for supranational companies travel abroad, and they have the ability, the chance to see how it works, and then they probably just need courage to start their own journey. So this is what actually gives me hope that something like that could happen in the upcoming months. I hope that this East Innovation Conference will be this start of this innovative environment. I'd like to thank you very much for your participation and for the interview, Mr. Secretary. On behalf of the American Chamber of Commerce, I'd like to thank you for this close cooperation with our organization. I really believe that this cooperation will continue, and we will able to develop your last idea. In other words, to help these freelancers or small companies that are being created all the time to implement their ideas. Thank you for your participation, and thank you for starting this conference. We're looking for further cooperation. Thank you very much as well. Have a nice day. Dear participants, in the next block, we will remind those who joined us later that we're streaming from Kosice. As the next keynote TED Talk speaker will talk, Mr. Michal Hladký, global expert on creative industry. He's the director of creative industry Kosice. And after that, it will be followed by Marcel Giboda's speech, the deputy of Kosice, and later this topic will be discussed in the panel with Mr. Raymond Tem and Petr Kolesar from Civita. Through Slido, you may enter your questions already now. Now let's move to Michal Hladký. He's the Director of Creative Industry Kosice, a legacy organization of the European Capital of Culture 2013 project. He is the author of the winning concept of Kosice's candidacy for this title, and he has more than 13 years of experience with the implementation of strategies of sustainability of this project. Creative City is the central organization in the region, which also realizes the project UNESCO Creative City of Media Arts. Michal, the stage is yours. Hello, everyone. Today I prepared a short presentation about how we can change this magnetic switch in Kosice to attract people to Kosice. In 2014, KPMG published a study, Magnetic Cities. They did a research of 9 cities that found themselves in a very difficult situation and found a way to get out of such situations. I'm not saying that Kosice is actually in such a difficult period of time, but I think that it would help Kosice to change this magnetic switch into magnetic pull. So these were the common things that help all these cities. It was to attract young wealth creators, to have a clear identity of the city, to have a connected city which supports innovations and which is able to gain investments for that. I personally chose 3 cities that I see as a very good example, and I go there very often. First of all, it's Malmo, which in 80s or 90s lost their port, and the government opened a fabric there. However, it collapsed, so they decided that they will invest into innovations, they will bring together different companies, they will link them with universities, and they decided to modernize a lot of their territory. So we see this interesting building in there. Another good example is Tel Aviv. Obviously, we don't have to talk about their potential, it's very clear, but there is this interesting moment for me. This is Mr. Ron Hudaj, who has been the mayor for 5 years, for 5 election periods. But to create a great change, we need to focus on continuity. I guess you already heard the word Bilbao effect. It's a very strong industrial city. We see the river there, and the whole area was an industrial area. There is this organization RIA 2000, and they moved everything that has something to do with industry and moved culture there. And there were a lot of interesting things which started to attract people to the city. So they started to cooperate with the universities, they started to deal with innovations. What does it mean for Kosice? I don't want to say it's us, obviously. It's the legacy of the European Capital of Culture, but it's everything that's going on in Kosice. I will briefly talk about how we try to contribute to this 6 point. We organize events which support the young people who want to run their own business. We have the project known as Escalator, and it's a mentoring program where we have foreign mentors, and they bring their own ideas to Kosice. We started to do it in 2013, and since then more than 50 organizations have gone through this. So it's important to create some business plan so that they could realize their projects here in Kosice and not somewhere else. What Kosice does and how it changes its physical state, the EU Capital of Culture has brought new infrastructure for culture and a lot of projects into this public area. For example, such as the White Night project. However, there are still a lot of areas where Kosice could do something more. And I think it is about time to start to address these problems. So we have a river in Kosice, but if we have a look at this from a critical point of view, it's not very accessible for people, for the citizens. So we should probably use the potential.
The city of Kosice has historical identity. It is a city of steelmaking. It is a city of Sándor Márai, or city of romance. But it is also a city which creates, through its atmosphere, creates the atmosphere of Balkan. It is also a city which brought IT 10 or 12 years ago. And now it is very important to look to the future and accept all the identities about which I was talking and try to link them and look to the future. For us, the future is in the link between creativity and digital solutions. As to the connection, we hope that there will be highway between Kosice and Bratislava. Kosice also has airport. It is international and has big potential. So we hope that Corona will be away soon and that we can fly to the whole world. But the connection doesn't have to be only physical. It can be also psychological through networking with various cities. We do have different programs such as creative residencies. We provide support for businessmen. This is just a brief overview of cities. I wanted to show you where everywhere I was on my vacation. But the important thing is that we participate actively in international networks which bring Kosice on the map of Europe. This is European Creative Business Network. It is a NGO from Europe and it tries to help culture and creative industry. From 2017, Kosice is part of the network of cities which are called Kosice City of Media Arts. So in 2017, we became a creative city, and by this we want to highlight the connection between creativeness and. We always want to cultivate new ideas. This is an iconic thing. We don't have it nowadays, but many people remember it. We try to link artists with, for example, a hospital. When gamification brings a new way to rehabilitate patients. When an artist comes with an idea to transform buffet into a beautiful restaurant dedicated to seafood. Or we created a concept where we present our city in the form of hotel rooms. There are several rooms in several hotels, and each has different topic. And in these rooms, you can get various information about our city. Of course, except topics, we are trying to present how smart people we have here in Kosice. Within a UNESCO Creative City of Media Arts, we brought format called Art and Tech Days. It is an event which brings excellent speakers and workshops and performances. It is a physical demonstration of the connection between creativity and digital technologies. Each year has topic. This year we had to cancel it. But this year's topic was human responsibility, when we wanted to look at the world from the point of view of technologies and responsibility of people. It is very important to bring new ideas, to talk about those ideas, and it is important that the city has drive and tries to bring innovations, and not only keep those innovations for themselves, but to show those innovations to the world. In order to get there, in order to allow a city realize its ambitions, it must be able to, instead of ideas, generate capital and money. We managed within Urban Innovative Actions to get more than 14 million euros on a project which will focus on media art, citizen experience, education data, business support, and infrastructure. We believe that this all will help the city to look how the city communicates with people, what services it brings, and how does it represent the city in the public sector, how it can get data and provide data on some business opportunities. This is the ambition of city. At the end of the October, we submitted a application to European Green Capital Network. We hope that we will be successful in this. So how to flip the magnetic switch? For me, it is mostly the connection between creativity and digital technologies, because this is something to which we dedicated our work in Kosice. And the perspective of green city and river is a very strong example. It is also important to create partnerships. We are here with AmCham, and therefore the partnerships and connections are extremely important for success, and leaderships and clear vision. So you don't have to talk. Instead of this, you have to work. You have to understand that everyone can add to the whole, even by his or her own light bulb. Everyone has skills which can be given to attain the goals. Thank you very much, and I am looking forward to discussion. Thank you very much for inspirational presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to notice that you can send your questions and we will evaluate them later in a panel discussion. Before inviting Mr. Giboda here, I would like to focus your attention on our second poll. We will agree on the fact that each stakeholder plays a role in addressing the underdeveloped ecosystem of East Slovakia. So the question is, which sector should take the lead and drive the cause of creating a successful and functional innovation climate? You can choose between academia, central government, self-governing regions, cities, businesses, NGOs or clusters, or other. Here you are, you can now vote, and we will evaluate this poll later. Now I would like to invite to our studio Mr. Marcel Giboda, Vice Mayor of Kosice, who will present a perspective of a city to the development of Kosice and Kosice region. So the floor is yours. Good afternoon, everyone from Kosice. I am very glad to be here today in the name of our city. I would like to talk about how Kosice will become a magnet, which will be able to attract investitions and our citizens and the whole eastern region to stay here. We all know that many of us, even I, was lucky enough to travel for work. But after I decided to come back and to give my experience to our region, here in our region, we have many challenges. What we identified in Kosice is the fact that we have to support the possibilities which we have within education. Kosice was a magnet and it can be a magnet. If we look from Poland to Hungary, we can be a city which could provide the background for companies and for individuals in order to allow them to create their entrepreneurship here. I'm not saying it big companies say that this is something which is really necessary in Kosice. What we have to improve is the approach. Many people from our region travel abroad, and that's why Kosice do not have influence to higher education, but it can support higher education. And therefore, we started a project, Kosice New Industry Cluster, which should we have to attract people from abroad and to keep our people here. In the cooperation with the Kosice region, we supported Technical University in application to become a part of Ulyseus, which provides mobilities and Erasmus mobilities. Within this project, within the schema Urban Innovative Action is the project Kosice for Wellbeing. This was something about Misha Hladký talked about. He is a director of Creative City Kosice, which is a company financed by Kosice. We really like this company because it brings innovative potential to our city. One thing which we would like to change, and we would like to use this potential and creativity in the future development of the city. We would like to give to this company the preparation of our future plan. We will not concentrate only on where are the competencies of Kosice, but we will look at the connection between education at primary schools and through high schools and to universities which are financed from Kosice wants to be part of associations such as Smart Cities Club, which links self-governed regions, which should support innovations. And through our contribution, we would like to focus on the we would like to focus on the winter maintenance. Through these applications, we are trying to get between people and get more information from them. How should our city work in the future? As it was already said by the previous speaker, there will be a project, Urban Innovative Action, and we really believe in it. And it should focus on better life in our city, and it should link the private sphere with public sphere. Behind this, in the areas of Kosice, Kasarnie Kulturpark, in the building Bravo, we are building a space where startups and companies dedicated to this approach with connected with citizens could have their space, and like this we will create a breeding ground for future innovations and for new companies. I do think that the city Kosice, even if it has a limited possibilities as to the taxation, it still tries to attract people here and to give them opportunities for future development. For instance, the transportation, air service is a benefit for this region, and we can provide it for other cities and for the whole eastern region. I meet with requirements for the cooperation with Hungary. For us, it is important that East does not end in our region, but it is the whole area from which people migrate to Kosice, and that's why we are trying to focus them. In the support of higher education, we have to focus on how to keep those young people in Kosice and in our region, and this is a big challenge before us, and I believe that we will cooperate on it together, not only with Kosice region ministry of Mr. Antal, but with all subjects within this sphere. I am very happy, and thank you very much, AmCham, because you are doing great steps which create space for young people in order to allow them to grow. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Now there will be a small short break of 5 minutes, so I recommend you to get something to eat, make yourself comfortable, and after a break we will have a discussion between Michal Hladký, Raymond Tam, and Peter Kolesár. It will be moderated by Martin Mudrak. After discussion, be prepared for 2 inspirational presentations. The first one will be The Fabric of Innovation by Juraj Sabol, General Manager for Strategy US Steel Kosice. And the second one will be about global view on education, which will be presented by Marcela Havrilova, Education Industry Lead from Microsoft, Czech Republic and Slovakia. Stay with us.
Je pre mňa cťou, že môžem otvoriť túto prvú panelovú diskusiu. Dnes sa budeme zaoberať iným magnetizmom. Dnes sa budeme zaoberať magnetickými mestami. Mestá, ktoré môžu na jednej strane priťahovať, ale aj odpudzovať nápady, podniky, ľudí. Chceme zistiť, kde sa v tomto Košice nachádzajú a čo pre ich čaká v budúcnosti. Budeme riešiť otázky, ako pomôcť menším regionálnym mestám, aby sa znovu zadefinovali a aby zvýšili svoju príťažlivosť. Ako zmeniť naše mestá na magnety. Som veľmi rád, že tu mám takýchto ctených a vážených hostí. Pán Michal Hladký, myslím, že už nepotrebuje, aby sme ho predstavovali, ale pozrime sa na pána Petra Kolesára. Peter, ďakujeme vám, že ste dnes s nami. Peter je partnerom v spoločnosti Civita a pomáha spoločnosťam rozvíjať sa. Predtým pôsobil ako poradca na slovenských veľvyslanectvách v Tel Avive a vo Washingtone. Študoval na rôznych univerzitách a bol aj členom výboru na New Yorkskej univerzite. A od roku 2017 je členom správnej rady v AmChame. V startu sa k nám pripája pán Raymond Tem. Je to zástupca primátora, ktorý je zodpovedný za architektúru, budovanie, územné plánovanie, zememeradstvo a komunálne služby. Je to člen správnej rady nadácie vedeckého parku Tartu a je to aj člen rady nadácie pre cestovný ruch v okrese Tartu. Páni, je mi cťou, že dnes môžeme spolu diskutovať. Tak najprv začneme s Michalom. Michal, vieš nám približiť, čo tieto magnetické mestá sú a čo znamená táto magnetická príťažlivosť? Chceli by sme vedieť aj, aká je momentálne pozícia Košic. Ďakujem pekne. Pre mňa sú magnetické mestá, ktoré dokážu priťahovať, udržovať a generovať talent. A ktoré dokážu poskytovať príležitosti inovovať. Sú to mestá, ktoré chápu, že prepojenie je pre ne veľmi podstatné. A že hoci existujú aj individuálne, musia fungovať aj vo väčšom kontexte. Musia hľadať nové príležitosti. Pre mňa sú dobrými príkladmi hlavné mestá ako Londýn, New York. Avšak samozrejme nájdeme mnoho ďalších miest, ktoré sú aj možno regionálne, ako Brno alebo Tartu. Možno Graz, Linz sú veľmi pre mňa zaujímavé v porovnaní s Košicami a so situáciou, v ktorej sa momentálne nachádzajú. Ktoré z týchto sú podľa vás najrelevantnejšie pre Košice? Pre mňa je Graz, mesto v Rakúsku. A páči sa mi, ako vyvíjajú rôzne svoje nápady. Rozhodli sa vybudovať prezentáciu, ktorá by reprezentovala tieto priemysly. Sústredia sa veľmi na dizajn aj na hudbu. Stali sa mestom UNESCO Creative City v rámci dizajnu a bol to pre nás veľmi, veľmi dobrý príklad. A začali sme nad tým rozmýšľať, kde by sa mohli Košice posúvať, ktorým smerom. Je to veľká príležitosť pre mesto, aby sa rozrastala jeho populácia a aj vlastne ako sa prezentovať a priťahovať pozornosť, ale aj talenty a ľudí. Toto bolo pre mňa veľmi inšpirujúce. Ak sa pozrieme na magnetickú príťažlivosť, kde sú podľa vás teraz Košice? Na miestnej úrovni je mesto už teraz viac menej magnetické, pretože je to najväčšie mesto v tomto regióne, kde ľudia vlastne hľadajú prácu a máme tu kvalitný život. Avšak čo sa týka ambícií alebo nejaký bod, s ktorým sa porovnávame, vidíme tu únik mozgov. Pretože samozrejme ľudia vidia možno lepšie príležitosti v Európskej únii, je tu voľný trh a môže sa cestovať. Je tu otázka, či sa vrátia alebo nie, ale mesto má obrovský potenciál, aby pripravilo platformu a správne, vhodné podmienky. Už máme dosť zaujímavých projektov, ktoré by mohli pritiahnuť ľudí späť a aby priniesli vlastne to, čo sa naučili. Máme aj iné mesta, ktoré sú magnetické, samozrejme Bratislava, Viedeň, Praha, Londýn a celkovo mestá vo Veľkej Británii. Mali sme tu aj spomenuté Brno ako jedno magnetické mesto, ktoré v podstate kam odchádzajú naše mozgy. Peter, teraz hovorím k vám. Nedávno ste publikovali článok o tom, čo sa môžeme naučiť od miest ako Brno alebo Tartu. Obe tieto mesta máme v našom paneli. Prečo ste si vybrali práve tieto dve mesta? V prvom rade veľmi pekne vám ďakujem, že môžem byť členom tejto konferencie. Je to pre mňa obrovská česť. A mám tu dnes veľmi skvelých spoludiskutujúcich. Takže ďakujem, že ste ma pozvali. Prečo som si vybral Brno a Tartu? Tak je v tom aj moja osobná skúsenosť. Študoval som v Brne a spoločnosť, pre ktorú momentálne pracujem, má sídlo v Tartu, takže mám s oboma mestami akýsi zvláštny vzťah. Sú to obe druhé najväčšie mesta vo svojich krajinách a majú veľmi silné univerzity. Predtým, než budem viac hovoriť o Brne, tak by som ešte chcel povedať, že aká je moja osobná skúsenosť z Tartu. Pán Raymond, ak si správne pamätám, myslím, že sme sa stretli na nejakej party na podzemnom parkovisku. Áno, je to pravda. Startup Day konferencia je najväčšia konferencia na Pobalti. Viacero zastupiteľov hovorilo o tom, že treba organizovať veľké konferencie. No a som sa tejto konferencie zúčastnil. No a táto startup konferencia vlastne vytvorila magnetickú príťažlivosť pre celý svet. Takže z celého sveta prichádzajú ľudia a spoločnosti do malého mestečka, ako je Tartu. Môžu ho spoznať a stále sa do neho vracajú. Takže toto je moja skúsenosť z Tartu aj s týmto startup dňom. Chodím tam aj kvôli podnikateľským dôvodom a Estónsko ako také je naozaj inšpiráciou. Máme tu piatý ročník projektu, kde vidíme, že startupy môžu mať naozaj efekt transformácie na celú krajinu. Teraz prejdem na Brno. Brno má taktiež veľmi zaujímavý príbeh. Z môjho pohľadu sa tento rast začal v roku 2002. Jedným z najväčších investorov, Flextronics v Brne, sa rozhodol, že odíde z tejto krajiny. A to iba pár mesiacov potom, čo získali na to investície. 100,000 ľudí prišlo o prácu alebo boli nezamestnaní. No a potom vlastne ľudia z tohto juhomoravského kraja spojili sily a vytvorili toto juhomoravské inovačné centrum. A toto je pre mňa príklad skvelej kolaborácie miestnej samosprávy a kraju, univerzít, ale aj všetky tieto prvky spojili svoje sily a vytvorili silnú alianciu, ktorá v podstate začala mnoho iniciatív v najbližších obdobiach až do dnes. Brno sa naozaj stalo mestom nových myšlienok a toto je aj jeden z faktorov, o ktorých Michal hovoril vo svojej prezentácii. Hovoril o tom, aké sú tie charakteristiky magnetického mesta. A jednou z nich je prinášanie nových myšlienok. Možno aj v startupu, ale aj v nejakých tradičnejších odvetviach. Máme to v Brne a vidíme to aj v Tartu. Veľmi pekne ďakujem. Dúfam, že v Košiciach nie je potrebné nič také ako strata 100,000 pracovných miest. Bolo to len 1,000, OK. Aj tak je to veľa. Ďakujem pekne. Teraz sa teším na príklad Tartu. Raymond, je skvelé, že ste sa zapojili do nášho panelu. Hovoríme o Estonsku ako o príklade úspešného príbehu. Vaša krajina udáva trendy v digitalizácii a elektronickej vláde. Vedeli by ste nám povedať, čo bolo tým impulzom? A vedeli by ste nám povedať nejaké príklady, ako by malo e-government fungovať v 21. storočí? Veľmi pekne vám ďakujem za vaše pozvanie. Veľmi rád sa zúčastňujem tohto panelu. Tak prvá odpoveď je viac menej jednoduchá a môže byť prekvapujúca. Doteraz Estonsko vytvorilo veľmi transparentný a užitočný ekosystém. 99% našich služieb vládnych je online. Takže keď Estonsko získalo nezávislosť, vtedy sa už začal tento digitálny začiatok. Estonsko chcelo poskytnúť svojim občanom dobré služby. Takže sme prešli na digitalizáciu. Bolo to aj lacnejšie oproti ostatným alternatívam. Takže táto kľúčová iniciatíva sa začala vo vzdelávaní. A v roku 2000 už bola každá škola v krajine v podstate v online svete. Školili sme aj dospelých a zvýšil sa aj počet ľudí, ktorí začali používať internet. Samozrejme je to veľmi nápomocné aj v tomto čase pandémie poskytovanie týchto služieb online. A keď sa pozrieme na Tartu, čo je podľa vás taká tá zázračná ingrediencia? Sme druhé najväčšie mesto v Estonsku. Máme veľmi bohatú históriu, máme približne 100,000 obyvateľov a 18,000 z toho sú študenti, takže obrovské percento ľudí používa internet, samozrejme. Chceli by sme naše mesto rozvíjať ako zelené mesto univerzít, plné inovácií a nápadov. Takže by sme chceli, aby to bolo mesto, v ktorom ľudia chcú žiť. Hovoríme o inováciách a musíme priznať, že sme sa sústredili na koncept inteligentných miest. Takže keď sa pozrieme na históriu tohto mesta ako inteligentného, tak základom bola samozrejme infraštruktúra. Nebolo by to samozrejme možné, ak by to nepodporovala aj legislatíva a tá bola vytvorená už dávno. No a až potom sme zaviedli A potom, čo sme zaviedli tieto legislatívy, až potom to prešlo na miestnu úroveň, na nižšiu úroveň. Takže rozvojom sme dosiahli lepšie služby, mali sme menej papierovačiek a to sa stalo už v roku 2003, čiže dosť dávno a 90% našich služieb, ktoré ponúkame našim občanom, sú taktiež dostupné v digitálnom formáte. A máme aj mobilné parkovanie ako službu a myslím, že to bolo už v roku 2000. Chcel by som upozorniť na jednu vec. Rýchly rozvoj a inovácie v Tartu boli možné iba na základe spolupráce s inými odvetviami. Čiže je to platforma na takom základe, že sa tu vyvíjajú služby. Takže pracujeme aj s údajmi. Máme obmedzené ľudské zdroje, ale aj finančné zdroje, preto máme stratégiu, ktorá je založená na spolupráci. Hovorím o akadémii, o verejnom sektore a podobne. Veríme, že vláda alebo mestské zastupiteľstvo naozaj môže podporiť inovácie. Mali by sme umožňovať tvorbu riešení a podporovať ekosystémy inovácií. Myslíme si, že aj zlyhania sú v poriadku. Samozrejme, inovácie nemusia byť nakoniec všetky úspešné. Niektoré samozrejme aj zlyhajú. Ekosystém je veľmi dôležitý na podporu inovatívnych podnikateľských nápadov. Hovoríme o univerzitách, o ekosystéme startupov, podpora inkubátorov, ktoré fungujú ako akcelerátory a prispievajú tým silným odvetviam, ktoré tu máme. Takže naše podnikanie je tiež založené na výskumoch a toto veľmi podporujeme. Podporujeme vedecké parky, centra kreatívnych priemyslov, inkubátory pre firmy, ktoré sa tiež nachádzajú v Tartu. A máme tu aj business festival, o ktorom ste už počuli, volá sa to Startup Day. Je to naša vlajková loď. Prichádzajú účastníci z viac než 60 krajín a sú to obrovské čísla, ktoré tu prichádzajú.
Ďakujeme veľmi pekne, Raimond. Opýtam sa vás ešte dve ďalšie otázky, keďže váš čas je obmedzený. Raimond, čo sa týka nášho prieskumu, ktorého výsledky ukážeme onedlho, pýtali sme sa nášho publika, ktoré z nasledujúcich odvetví by malo prevziať iniciatívu. Kto by to mal urobiť v Tartu podľa vás? Vláda? Myslím si, že vláda by to mala začať. Avšak, ale potom sa môžu do toho zapojiť rôzne strany do tohto rozvoja. Verím, že v menších mestách alebo v stredne veľkých mestách alebo v mestách, ktoré nemajú takéto silné zdroje, ktoré potrebujete, tak musíte využiť aj iné sektory, ktoré by vám pomohli. Ďakujem veľmi pekne, Raimond. Teraz si ukážeme výsledky našej ankety, aby sme videli, ako volilo publikum. Takže, ktoré z nasledujúcich odvetví by malo prevziať iniciatívu a viesť budovanie úspešného ekosystému? Takže očividne vyhrali samosprávne kraje, Je to pre teba prekvapujúce, Michal? Ja by som volil za mesto osobne. Ale rozumiem, že ak hovoríme o východnom Slovensku, tak samozrejme región je dôležitým orgánom, na ktorý by sme sa mali obrátiť. Mesto by však malo celý čas pracovať ako sprostredkovateľ inovácií a všetkých aktivít, akokoľvek to nazveme. Mesto by nemalo byť iba lídrom, ale malo by vedieť pochopiť ekosystém a zabezpečiť všetko, čo je potrebné. Kto by mal byť zahrnutý v tom budovaní ekosystému? Všetky sektory, ktoré ste spomenuli. Neziskové organizácie, podnikatelia, rôzne neformálne skupiny, občania a podobne. Poďme trochu pozitívnejší teraz a poďme sa porozprávať o Košiciach. Čo vás vedie k tomu, že sa nám podarí pretvoriť tento úspešný príbeh v Košiciach? No v prvom rade už sme videli úspech v našom meste. Ak sa pozriete napríklad na IT spoločnosti a na to, kde sme boli pred 12 rokmi a na to, kde sme teraz, vidíme naozaj veľkú zmenu. Takže mohli by sme zopakovať tieto kroky v iných sektoroch a využiť ich potenciál v iných sektoroch. Povedal by som ešte, že by sme si mali nájsť náš vlastný príbeh, nemali by sme robiť CTRL-C a CTRL-V. Môžeme sa učiť z iných príbehov, ale bolo by lepšie, ak by sme si vymysleli svoj vlastný príbeh. Mali by sme si z toho zobrať to najlepšie a to ostatné nechať tak. Takže Košice sa pohybuje správnym smerom. Myslíte si, že tá rýchlosť je adekvátna, alebo by to malo byť rýchlejšie? Mohlo by to byť rýchlejšie, ale z môjho pohľadu myslím si, že najdôležitejšie je vytrvalosť. Musíme stále veriť, že to dokážeme spraviť. A aj napriek tomu, že kroky dopredu sú malé, aj napriek tomu sa nemôžeme nechať odradiť a musíme stále pokračovať. Peter, ste z Košíc, už tu síce nepôsobíte, ale aký je váš pohľad? Súhlasíte s výsledkami z ankety? Alebo vás prekvapili? Momentálne som v Tartu dokonca. Takže ja súhlasím s Michalom, že mesto je akýsi prirodzený líder, čo sa týka informácií a vedomostí o ekosystéme. Ekosystém je naozaj dôležitý, treba ho udržiavať. Opisuje to, akú interakciu musíme vytvoriť medzi jednotlivými aktérmi. Toto všetko sú elementy ekosystému. A slovo ekosystém pochádza z prírody, kedy každý element profituje a prispieva k blahu všetkých ľudí a všetkých ľudí v rámci toho ekosystému. Takže to je, prečo potrebujeme zahrnúť všetkých aktérov. A tak ako povedal Raimond, čo sa týka Tartu, Tartu má naozaj veľký rozpočet a má všetky ingrediencie, ktoré môžu pomôcť revolúcii. Bez pochyby Košice majú potenciál, aby sa tam dostali. Na základe akých sektoroch by sme mali budovať tento ekosystém? Košice má silnú identitu a taktiež tradícií. Máme tu tradičný priemysel. Boli sme európskym hlavným mestom kultúry a vytvorili sme na základe toho veľa infraštruktúry. Vzniká nám tu aj nový sektor, kreatívne odvetvie. Máme taktiež silné verejné inštitúcie a vedúcou organizáciou, ktorá je bezprecedentná v Košiciach, je Creative Industry. A taktiež máme skvelé univerzity, ktoré dúfam, že spoja sily. Máme pred sebou veľmi veľa príležitostí a víziev, ktoré musíme prekonať. Konkrétne spájanie tradičných sektorov s novými sektormi. Napríklad kreativita a IT sektor. Alebo s oceliarenským priemyslom. Posilňovanie a vytváranie nových myšlienok, to je naozaj dôležité. A mali by sme byť kritickí v prepájaní tých nových a starých priemyslov. Chcel by som ešte teraz podotknúť jednu vec o tom, ako je vzdelanie prepojené s týmto. Mali by sme začať podporovať každý level vzdelávania, vytvárať kritické myslenie, učiť deti pracovať v tímoch, plánovať a pripravovať pracovnú silu budúcnosti a nie iba sa sústrediť na vytváranie pracovnej sily, ktorú potrebujeme teraz. Nemali by sme sa sústrediť iba na odborné vzdelávanie, ale podporovať nové zručnosti, ktoré ešte nevieme, ako budú vyzerať, ale mali by sme ich podporovať a učiť ich študentov. Toto nie je iba o technických odvetviach a o technickom vzdelávaní. Je to aj o humanitných vedách a o zvyšovaní kvality vzdelávania aj v oblasti humanitných vied. Mimochodom, v tomto je silné aj Tartu, nie iba v technických odvetviach, ale aj v humanitných odvetviach. A to je spôsob, akým vieme vytvoriť magnetickú príťažlivosť pre študentov z širokého okolia. Raymond, čo sa týka magnetizmu v Tartu a pracovnej sily a odlivu mozgov. Máte v Tartu aj vy odliv mozgov? Cítite, že sa to deje? Mesto s pozitívnou magnetickou príťažlivosťou, ako je Tartu, ako sa s tým vy vysporiadávate? Áno, v súčasnosti nemáme veľký odliv mozgov, pretože veríme, že univerzitné mesto vytvára veľké množstvo mozgov. Nie všetci si to ostávajú v Tartu, ale je fajn, ak ostanú, dajme tomu, aj v Estonsku. Poznáte situáciu, myslím si, že to je normálne. Nevieme to zastaviť, je to proste normálne všade. Chcel by som ale zdôrazniť, že teraz, keď máme toľko veľa technológií, ktoré by nám mohli pomôcť a ktoré nie sú v Tartu, mohli by sme využiť tieto technológie práve na zastavenie odlivu mozgov. Možno by sme sa mali zamerať na pozitíva odlivu mozgov a možno by sme sa mali zamerať aj na mozgy z iných krajín, nie iba z Estónska. To je zaujímavý pohľad, Raymond. Spomínali ste, že úspech vedie aj ku zlyhaniam. Akým výzvam ste čelili vy v Tartu napríklad na vašej ceste za úspechom? Čo by ste odporúčili mestu, keď sa chce stať magnetickým mestom? No tak poprvé, musíte poznať vaše silné stránky a slabé stránky a výzvy pred vami. Ak ich poznáte, tak potom si viete vytvoriť taktiku a stratégiu na základe toho. Ale prosím, nesnažte sa byť niekým iným a napodobňovať inú krajinu. Buďte sami sebou. A potom vytvorte svoju taktiku na základe toho. Ak sú nejaké aktivity, ktoré sa môžete naučiť od iných krajín, tak dobre, urobte to. Napríklad zdieľanie bicyklov a podobne. Taktiež vám chcem odporúčiť, aby ste riskovali. Nerobte veľké rizika, ale také, ktoré sú relevantné. Buďte naozaj ambiciózni a dávajte pozor na to, aby ste zahrňali všetkých partnerov, všetkých aktérov, ktorých máte v meste, aby ste sa vedeli pobiť za to mesto. Nie je to nutné, aby ste mali veľa peňazí a veľký rozpočet. Dokážete to urobiť aj s menším množstvom peňazí. Ďakujem vám veľmi pekne, Raymond. Chcel by som tiež pripomenúť nášmu publiku, že je ďalšia anketa, alebo teda, že v slajdov môžu písať otázky, na ktoré budeme potom odpovedať. Michal, možno máme nejaké publikum aj z Prešova. A teraz sa snažíme vytvárať spoluprácu s Prešovom. Prešov je teda tretie najväčšie mesto na Slovensku. Aké prepojenie ty vidíš medzi Prešovom a Košicami? Ako by mala fungovať synergia medzi nimi? Nemôžeme povedať, že Prešov a Košice nie je prepojený. Ľudia pracujú po oboch mestách a cestujú medzi nimi dennodenne. Mentalita je taktiež podobná v oboch mestách, pretože je to východné Slovensko. Pre nás je Prešov, povedzme, prirodzeným partnerom v tejto debate. Partnerom taktiež v rôznych kreatívnych iniciatívach, na ktorých pracujeme. Podporujeme Prešov. Toto je niečo, čo by som chcel zdôrazniť, že je dôležité, že ako náhle niečo máte, mali by ste to zdieľať, pretože tým sa šíri pozitívna správa. Prešov sa taktiež chce stať európskym mestom kultúry a od nás sa to môžu taktiež naučiť, lebo my už ním sme. Košice je v podstate celkom malé mesto, ale prepojenie s Prešovom by mohlo vytvoriť akýsi väčší región v zmysle rozvoja, podnikania a podobne. Ako vidíš ty toto prepojenie? Existuje taká myšlienka, ktorá sa v minulosti však nezrealizovala. Ak by sme to chceli spraviť, mali by sme spraviť niečo veľmi rýchle, ktoré by spojilo tieto dve mestá a mali by sme začať od podlahy v zmysle energie, ktorá by spojila tieto dve mestá dokopy. Máme nejaké otázky zo slajdov, na ktoré by sme sa chceli pozrieť?
Dobrý deň, som predseda OZP Rozvoj gamingu a IT inovácií pre východné Slovensko plné mladých ľudí. Tento segment nie je zatiaľ na výsledku.
Pre koho je táto otázka? Asi pre Petra. Takže rozvoj gamingu a IT inovácie nie je podporovaný tak, ako by mal. Čo si o tom myslíte? Myslím si, že kontext podpory inovačných spoločností nie je až tak dôležitý. Nemyslím si, že to nie je iba gaming, ktorý podporujeme, ale myslím, že všeobecne všetko s tým súvisiace nie je až tak veľmi podporované. Gaming je však sľubným sektorom v našom regióne. Jeho prítomnosť v našom sektore a jeho podpora je naozaj dôležitá. Myslím si, že ak sa pozriem napríklad na Estónsko, ale aj na naše susedné krajiny, väčšina startupových ekosystémov, a teda počet a kvalita a veľkosť startupov, ktoré sú vytvárané lokálne, súvisí s kvalitou korporátnych pracovných miest. Takže je veľmi dôležité, aby sme pochopili, že nie iba univerzity a verejný sektor, ale aj korporátne spoločnosti sú dôležité. A taktiež podporovanie startupov, pretože ak startupy rastú, tak potom budú priťahovať talenty zo zahraničia. No a tieto korporáty potom môžu využiť tieto pritiahnuté talenty, ktoré pritiahnu zo zahraničia. Takže myslím si, že je to naozaj spoločné úsilie všetkých týchto faktorov, aby podporovali podnikateľov a startupov. No a čo sa týka IC gamingu, ktorý je kritickým sektorom pre Košice, ak zoberieme do úvahy infraštruktúru a podobne. Ďakujem vám pekne, Michal. My spolupracujeme s vývojármi hier v Košiciach. Na našom festivale Art and Tech Days je tam zahrnutá aj udalosť, ktorá sa týka hier.
Events so Kosice took over and but of course COVID and the circumstances, but there is like maybe a third or fourth year already we collaborate.
Už 3 až 4 roky spolupracujeme s gamingovým priemyslom. Bohužiaľ, toto je všetok čas, ktorý sme mali. Páni, ďakujem vám veľmi pekne za vašu príležitosť a za vaše inšpiratívne myšlienky a pohľady. Takže čo sme dnes počuli? Nemali by sme sa obávať zlyhania, musíme sa posunúť ďalej, musíme podporovať Košice a je to naša zodpovednosť. A je to zodpovednosť každého z nás, každého jedného občana, aby sme z mesta urobili magnet. Taktiež musíme prinášať nové myšlienky, podporovať vzdelávanie. A to je v podstate všetko. Ďakujem vám veľmi pekne, páni. Ďakujeme za sledovanie našim divákom. Ďakujeme pekne.
Thank you, Martin, and thank you so much, our guests, for your invaluable insights. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. I am delighted to introduce the representative of the biggest employer in Slovakia, US Steel Kosice, Mr. Juraj Sabol, the General Manager for Strategy, US Steel Kosice. He will talk about the very essence of innovation. Mr. Sabol, the floor is yours. You must have gone crazy. That was the first reaction that I got from my colleagues and friends in Prague when I told them that me and my family were moving to Kosice, so that I became a steeler, as my grandfather used to be. Ladies and gentlemen, let me show you that steel can be the magnet that wasn't able to attract just me to Kosice, but that we can make this generalization that it can attract talent to Kosice in the future as well. I have 3 simple messages for you. First of all, the processing of metals has been here for centuries in Slovakia, hand in hand with prosperity, progress, and innovations. Secondly, the conditions of today's steel making makes innovation not just the key to success, but also key to survival. And lastly, our activities and plans as a reaction to the pressures that we've been facing lately can make steel the magnet that will attract to Kosice and Eastern Slovakia talent, people, and prosperity. Before we move on, let's have a look at what steel actually is. I don't want to make you fall asleep today, how iron ore is made into steel, but it is important to understand that steel is a complex alloy of iron, carbon, and many other metals that's created through a series of very complex processes from scrap, iron, and other raw materials. We have 2 production routes in the world. First of all is integrated that we have in Kosice, and you may understand it as our blast furnaces. And secondly, it's the electric arc furnaces that we have, for example, in America, and they produce the majority of the steel market there. And it became one of the most the basis of science that Mr. Christensen studied lately in Harvard. There are 2 products, steel products, flat, that we produce here in Kosice, and they are later used to create white technology cars, tins, let's say for vegetable. And then there are long steel products that you know from construction area like railway. So that you could imagine the size of the market. In Kosice, we produce maybe 4 millions of steel yearly. But in the whole world, there are probably 2 billions. Most of it comes from China. Here, it is probably very important to understand that steel as such, and as we know it today, is the result of centuries of innovations. And if we have a look at these centuries, then as I mentioned at the beginning, for long times and even millennia, the processing of metals has been always connected to innovations and prosperity. Iron ore was processed by Celtic tribes already. If you today have a look at regions such as Gemer, Spiš, or Horehronje, you may find the remains of processing of metals from Middle Ages. But the welfare and impact of families like Coburg and Andrassy line, the industrial evolution was based on the processing of iron ore. And it's very closely related to the history of Kosice. And 60 years ago, thanks to metallurgy, Kosice saw a great growth. But this history, however, has a second side. We may simply say that those who were unable to innovate didn't survive. However, we think that steel as such has a place in building the economy of tomorrow. As our association Eurofirst says, steel is an essential factor in the development and deployment of innovative CO2 mitigating technologies, and improving resource efficiency and sustainable development. I'd like to give you some examples. Steel is a very important part of electric mobiles. It's not just the motors that are made of electric steel, but there are different grades that are important for the manufacturing of the bodies of the cars. They have to comply with all safety regulations that are here. The second good example are renewables, where steel is a very important part of wind or solar power plants. Lastly, steel is 100% recyclable material. Therefore, it may form the fabric of circular economy. However, where is steel making today? We may say that us, the steelers, we face a perfect storm today that has been caused by different global forces. First of all, is the global nature of our raw materials like coke, coal, and iron ore, and the price depends on the forces at different parts of the world, like Australia or China. On the other hand, it's a tradable commodity that is very vulnerable when it comes to the impact of current problems in the whole area. Thirdly, there is this European initiative of decarbonization and lowering our carbon footprint, or the European system of trading, EU ETS allowances. This all makes a special cocktail, and our answer for this is to innovate and to be able to innovate. Because it's not just the key to success, but it's also an essential condition for survival. However, what does it mean for us in US Steel Kosice? Many of you probably know the view from Shaca to our halls or aggregates. However, for us, it's different. For us, it's a unique playing field for innovation, where they come in all different colors, forms, or shapes. It's caused by the size of the plant, which has almost the size of a small city like Dudince, but also the volume of steel produced that's around 4 million tons per year. If we decoiled the coils that we produce around the earth, we would go around for 10 times. Our steel is used in different areas, from cars to cans, and we produce enormous volumes of steel. The processes in our division plants are extremely different. It has different outputs, inputs, and the duration, let's say. It all makes US Steel a unique place where we can innovate not only our products, but also our processes. Should it be support or operations? Our colleagues in research and development, in cooperation with our salesmen, but also with our customers, bring to the market new grades of steel that help customers improve their projects. We have lately been working on agile methods known from IT sector, and we want to bring them to our research and development so that we are able to bring more of these innovations and new grades of steel. On the other hand, we have several years of improving our processes through continuous improvement. You may know it as lean manufacturing or Six Sigma. However, it doesn't mean that we're standing at a position at one place, but we added a total transformation of our maintenance processes or production processes. We try to look at things and ask why are we doing it, how are we doing it, and what should we change to be more effective. However, we understand that a lot of trends that were here before the COVID-19 will only make it bigger. For us, it's basically two fields: decarbonization and digital and analytics or artificial intelligence. When it comes to decarbonization, it is important to say that each ton of steel made is linked to 2 tons of CO2. It makes us the greatest pollutant in eastern Slovakia. That's one of the reasons why we have been working on the decarbonization plan, where we try to answer very difficult questions like, is hydrogen the future? Where would hydrogen bring green technology? Is capturing the carbon the right way? These are all the questions that we deal with. And we try to contribute to Slovak goals. And it could improve the situation in Slovakia and Europe. And then there is this digital revolution, or the Industry 04, or artificial intelligence implementation. 2 years ago, we found out that new technologies such as machine learning, deep learning, etc., will help us in each field of our business, not only safety, environment, but also the quality of and cost efficiency. That's why we experimented and we tried to implement these technologies into the processes, and I'm really glad that we achieved great success. And these algorithms help us every day and every second to manufacture higher quality steel. These successes give us the optimism, and we don't want to be seen in the future just as a steelmaking company, but we want to be seen as a technological company which only happens to make steel. In this field, there are also a lot of questions that our digital and analytics team tries to answer. For example, how can we differentiate what is really efficient from toys or buzzwords? How can we persuade the whole organization that digital analytics is really the future, and where we want to gain talent for the new team? On one hand, these are difficult questions. On the other hand, we have a complex approach to that that is based on several components. And we are engaging the whole management of the company to the transformation. To sum up, we in US still believe that steel can be the fabric which makes the magnet that we are searching for together here at this conference today. It's not only because the link between iron processing or metal processing and prosperity, but it's mainly because in US Steel we have a lot of activities and plans for the future that are, from our point of view, magnetic, and they can attract talent back to Kosice.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sabo. Let's move on. A global overlook to education as a key aspect of innovation environment and its importance for regions. This will be presented by Marcela Havrilova, Education Industry Lead, Microsoft Czech Republic and Slovakia. Her presentation is called Upskilling as an Investigation to the Future of the Region. Here you are. Good afternoon, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, in order to help the region to develop innovation, first of all, it must be a magnet on people. Let's look on what does it mean. I think that there are many numbers about the bad situation nowadays in terms of changing various job positions. We have various employees which are not ready for work. For me, what is striking, it is the number which says that only 4 out of 10 people, or only 6 people, are not prepared enough for the future period, which will bring new job opportunities and new experiences. Now let's look why is it like this and what we can do with it together. Sometimes if you were trying to find to your company new people, it was very easy to look at the labor market, to address the best ones, to look at the concurrents, and to attract their people. However, today, the situation is completely different, either by the fact that the need to have new people, which would be innovative and flexible, is great, because it is a concurrency advantage which everyone can have. And today there are no such people. Moreover, this period is not very good to bring them from abroad. So if you thought that if I will need some new people to my organization, which will transform in 5 years, because it will be different, definitely, because today we have a period of transformation, I will disappoint you, because the only group with which you will be able to work is that one which you already have now today in your companies and your organizations. If you were now thinking that I don't think that we have enough of these people, I will now show you a process which you can try. In your organizations, you have to upskill everywhere. It is related to various sectors. And today in your company, you have 3 types of people. If you know how you will look in 3 or 5 years, or what is your direction and your vision, and you know what people you will need with what experiences, try to look at those 3 groups. The first one is that group which is represented by people who understand what is going on at the labor market. They know what is going on in organizations, companies, and they have great amount of individual motivation to work on themselves and to follow the processes, to react on changes. So these are the people who will walk with you through the path of transformation. You have to invest something to them, but you don't have to ask them, because they are ready for it. Second group is represented by those people who, from various reasons, are not able to react on new changes which are arriving. Either they don't have mental potential or emotional capacity, or they have fear from the change, and they are not ready for move forward with your organization. These are people which will be persuaded very difficultly. These are the people which will sooner or later leave your company or organization. They will either do it by their own, those which have self-reflection, or you will have to do it on your own, because if you want to go further and if you want to become a magnet, you cannot have people who are not able to bring value. And then there is the third group. This is the biggest one. And this is the group of people who understand the situation, but they have a respect towards it. And on the other hand, they have potential. And if you invest to this group of people and you will work with them, you will be able to, during their working, prepare them on what awaits them. Maybe to some other role, or you can give them new set of skills which will be required to fulfill the upcoming strategy. And this is the group of people to which you have to focus. Work with your own resources, with your own people. It is very important for successful upskilling that it is not a reskilling. In the past, we were reskilling because we had some reasons to it. Even today, it has sometimes some reasons, but it is a complete change of the professional path, complete change of profession of some person. However, upskilling is improvement of the particular skills. So, how to define upskilling? There are various points of view. There, a strong definition is to bring the people from the third group, which has potential, and to change them, give them education, trainings, courses, certificates, and allow them to upskill and adapt their qualification during their work. And in the process, you will continually prepare them for what is awaiting them. Something new position, for instance, or you will help give them new skills which are very important for them. The process of upskilling, or the whole machinery, in a good sense, has its parts. There are various points of view how those phases should look, but it is important to realize that if you want to work with those people which I mentioned, which have the biggest potential, it is important to know your vision and to analyze the situation. Define your plan of the change of those skills of people. You have to know what job will be done by them. You have to create a plan how to work with them. It is also important to think that those people will be preparing to work at a new role, new position, during the time while they are still working on their current work. So some part of their work will be dedicated to education. It is also important to think that what I said, that these people have respect before what is coming. Many companies which already did upskilling are providing mentors for these people. And they know exactly which people are suitable for upskilling. They address them and they work them, manage them, in order to, after some period of time, they get to the skills which are necessary for the execution of their work. It is important to help them during the process, react on their fears, on their problems, and challenges which are there, because it is important to not forget that they are the potential of what you have. They are the group of people with which you can work in the future. You won't find better ones. After the end of this period, which will be different in every organization, those people continually change from one position to another position, already with a particular set of skills, and they start to work normally. For you, it is great advantage because you didn't lose your employee, because he knows already the company. And from the psychological or HR point of view, it is very important that those people will be still loyal, because you show them that you know their qualities and that you count on them. Many of us are asking, and very often it happens that there are many information, how many people are not prepared, how absolvents are bad, absolvents of universities, and that the whole system is disconnected. This is a very important moment which causes what I mentioned. It is the fact that we don't have a continual link between educational system and labor market. How to change this, or what to do with it? Gabriel Galgozi in the beginning said that it is very important to find synergies and cooperations. If you want to become a magnet for people in Eastern region, I have for you two ideas. You can remember them by this logo. Maybe you know that Microsoft launched Global Skills Initiative. As one of the key global players, they want to provide education and upskill experiences of many people. So they provide a program where you can create your own study program. There are certifications, training, mentoring programs, and quality resources which will help you and your employees. And they will help you with the preparation to positions which are linked with the digital transformation. As I was talking about the educational system, it is also important to look at students, which within the program Microsoft Learn can educate themselves and improve themselves. So maybe don't wait on a people which will come to the labor market in the future. Try to look at universities in the region of Eastern Slovakia, because universities do cooperate with labor market companies. There is a great startup community, and for them there is a special program, MS Learn for Educators. In the upcoming days, we'll launch this program. And these are the initiatives which are free. These are initiatives which open certified courses, education, in order to allow you to get better. Because if you will be ready to digital transformation, everything what Microsoft provides today for employees and for everyone, you will be able to implement all this to your companies and your organizations. And there will be the synergy about which the cooperation is. So this is the direct offer from us. If the topic of upskilling is interesting for you and if you want to talk about it, you can contact me. I will be very glad to accompany you during this process with my colleagues, and we will present you the initiative, Global Skills Initiative, or Microsoft Learn for Educators. Finally, I borrowed a motto to which it is important to think. Because the transformation is not only choosing what we like or what we do not like, the transformation is global. And what we think to work on together is the change of the thinking to look at the things in a new way. And this is what Microsoft provides you, to look at the things in a new way, to be courageous and to realize that you can innovate the potential of your people, because you have the potential and therefore you can preserve the jobs. I am a proud Easter, and therefore I believe that thanks to the cooperation we can create magnet from Eastern Slovakia, magnet on innovation and mostly magnet on new people. Thank you for your attention, and I hope that we will meet soon in some cooperation. Thank you, Mrs. Havrilova, for highlighting the importance of education in the creation of innovation ecosystem. Before a short break, I will tell you what awaits us today. We will talk about the key topic of this conference, crisis as opportunity. Mr. Andreas Truls, Director Deutsche Telekom IT Solutions Slovakia, will give his point of view. And after, there will be a discussion between Juraj Girman, Vice President Deutsche Telekom IT Solutions Slovakia, and Czech philosopher of economy Tomáš Sedláček, and Petr Chladek, CEO of South Moravian Innovation Center Brno. Now let's look at the last poll and the questions which we are asking. So the biggest question is, what is your biggest concern our country will face in the aftermath of the global crisis within the next decade? You can choose between consolidation of public finances, inflationary pressures, demographic crisis, global environmental challenges and sustainability, rise of extremism and sustainability of democracies, multiple waves of pandemics, or other possibilities. You can start to vote, and we will evaluate the poll later. So now please grab a sandwich and see you in 5 minutes. Thank you.
Good afternoon, dear participants. I hope you used the previous 5 minutes effectively and you're ready for the next discussion and topic. I am honored to introduce you to our second keynote speaker, Mr. Andreas Truls. He's the Managing Director of Deutsche Telekom IT Solutions Slovakia. As a regional IT executive, Andreas has extensive experience designing and implementing scalable growth strategies that deliver increased shareholder value in the outsourcing industry. Andreas carries 20 years experience in leadership positions both locally and regionally, and is directing large technical and service delivery teams of over 2,000 seats, with a proven record of accomplishment in complex infrastructure services, cloud transformations, and data center consolidation. After the presentation, my colleague Josef will open the discussion on the second topic of the conference, crisis as an opportunity. And now, Ladies and gentlemen, let's ask the question. Is this crisis a perfect storm for innovation? Mr. Andreas Truls. Dámy a páni, prajem vám príjemné popoludne. Volám sa Andreas Truls a pôsobím v spoločnosti Deutsche Telekom IT Solutions Slovensko. Dnes chcem hovoriť o kríze ako príležitosti. Možno to nie je dokonalá príležitosť, ale treba ju využiť. Tak na úvod budem hovoriť o 4 témach. Výzvy, ktoré prináša táto globálna pandémia, spôsob, akým teraz pracujeme, ako budeme pracovať v budúcnosti a taktiež diskusia o tom, aké príležitosti máme v tejto kríze, ako sa na ne môžeme pripraviť a taktiež ako ich môžeme zúžitkovať. Pozrime sa teraz v skratke späť, krátka rekapitulácia situácie na Slovensku a v našej spoločnosti. Všetci si pamätáme na ten čas, keď došlo k vypuknutiu pandémie a keď sa prehnala Európou. Následne sme mali lockdown. Potom sa situácia v letných mesiacoch trocha upokojila. No a momentálne máme opäť prísnejšie opatrenia. Nedávno, pár týždňov dozadu, sme mali celoplošné testovanie. No a situácia nie je možno taká pokojná, ako sme to očakávali začiatkom roka alebo v druhom štvrť roku roka. Toto všetci vieme. A teraz by som chcel hovoriť o grafe, ktorý môžete vidieť. Je to o využívaní kancelárií v našej spoločnosti. Takže na týchto modrých častiach môžete vidieť, že sme mali v priemere od 15 do 25% zamestnancov, ktorí pracovali fyzicky v kanceláriách za posledných 9, 10, 11 mesiacov. Čo je na tom dobrá vec? Dobrá vec je, že sme vedeli prejsť takmer nebadane do virtuálneho chodu. Nie je to také prekvapenie, keďže sme IT spoločnosť, ale možno v iných odvetviach to nebolo také jednoduché. Všetci sme to však zvládli. Vidíme, že tu máme aj fluktuáciu, ale aj keď si vezmeme to najvyššie číslo, čiže 25% využívania kancelárií v lete, vidíme, že ide o zdroj, ktorý nie je využitý naplno. A to sú vlastne naše kancelárie. Takže aj počas letných mesiacov, keď sme nemali viac ako 25% v našich kanceláriách, sme mali nevyužité veľké množstvo kancelárií. Ako sa chceme s týmto ako spoločnosť vyrovnať? Môžeme si dovoliť nechať si všetky tieto nevyužité kancelárie? Ako sa chceme prispôsobiť? A o tom budeme hovoriť o pár minút. Avšak z posledných mesiacov máme ponaučenie a to, že na začiatku sme si mysleli, že sa to nedá. Že sa takto pracovať nedá. Aspoň to bolo akési spoločné presvedčenie. Avšak minulé mesiace nám ukázali presný opak. Naučili nás, že vieme pracovať aj takto virtuálne. To, či je to rovnako dobre, či je to lepšie alebo horšie, to už je na dlhšiu debatu. Avšak podstatné je, že sa to dá. Pre spoločnosť, ako je naša, je to príležitosť, ale máme tu aj rizika. V čom vidíme tú príležitosť? Mnoho podnikov si myslelo, že môžu riadiť svoje podnikanie len z konkrétnej krajiny, že musia ísť do priestorov zákazníka a spĺňať určité požiadavky. Teraz však vidíme, že to vieme robiť aj na diaľku. Takže toto je pre nás príležitosť v rámci globálneho kontextu našej spoločnosti. Zároveň to však znamená, že ak to dokážeme my, dokážu tu aj ostatní. Vieme riadiť riadiť spoločnosť inej krajiny, kontinentu, avšak musíme to robiť správne, aby sme sa udržali v hre. Teraz sa pozrime na vplyv COVID-19. Ako spoločnosť so sídlom v Nemecku sme sa pozreli na údaje Nemecka a následne sme ich porovnali s tými zo Slovenska. Môžeme vidieť, že očakávame pokles HDP. Môžeme taktiež vidieť, že poklesol export. Čo sa týka konkrétne nášho podnikania, niektorí z našich najväčších zákazníkov alebo najdôležitejších zákazníkov, ktorým poskytujeme služby, boli zasiahnutí pandémiou. Automobilový priemysel. Došlo k 17% poklesu príjmov. Ropa a zemný plyn. Všetci si pamätáme, keď jeden barel stal 100 amerických dolárov, je to teraz značne pod 50, takže vidíme tie výkyvy. Cestovanie a letecká preprava. Spoločnosť Lufthansa očakáva, že sa vráti na pôvodné úrovne príjmov až v roku 2024. Takže vidíme, že naši zákazníci čelia mnohým výzvam a tie sa nakoniec stanú aj našimi výzvami. A vidíme, že konkrétne v našom priemysle, IT a outsourcingovom priemysle sa prestáva dariť aj našim konkurentom. Klesajú ich príjmy pred zdanením, hrubé príjmy. Avšak sú tu aj iné dopady, ktoré musíme vziať do úvahy. Hovorme teraz o dopade toho, ako reakcia spoločnosti na COVID-19 vyzerala. Veríme, že všetci z nás sme to zvládli viac menej fajn, ale chcem zdôrazniť, že stále to má dopad na našu značku, na našich budúcich zamestnancov, na talenty. Ľudia chcú vidieť, ako sa s tým spoločnosti vyrovnali. Chcú vidieť, aké majú možnosti pracovať z domu, využívať digitálne procesy a podobne. Takže na to sa teraz sústredíme. Musíme však vziať do úvahy aj balans. A toto je konkrétne teraz výzva. Musíme nájsť balans medzi požiadavkami a potrebami jednotlivcov, zamestnancov, ale aj spoločnosti. Momentálne máme na Slovensku mimoriadnu situáciu, čo znamená, že musíme aplikovať nejaké zvláštne pravidlá a my sa musíme pozrieť, ako sa s tým chceme vysporiadať. Čo sa stane, ak budú ľudia stále pracovať z domu, čo ak prejdú na teleworking, aké budú platy a čo to bude spoločnosť stať. Avšak musíme to vložiť aj do kontextu s ohľadom na požiadavky spoločnosti. Ešte by som chcel spomenúť 2 alebo 3 veci. Videli sme, že mnoho spoločností prechádza na digitálne procesy, samozrejme, avšak očakávame aj to, že sa už nevrátia k režimu, ktorý mali predtým. Ako predávame a nakupujeme, sa zmení. A musíme premýšľať aj nad tým, ako sa s tým vysporiadajú spoločnosti. Čaká nás ešte veľký rozvrat. Zmení sa podnikanie, zmení sa doručovanie tovarov, zmení sa riadenie podnikov. A toto je treba aj predpokladať. Pretože nakoniec rozvrat vždy poškodí výkonnosť. Nevieme byť stále viac a viac výkonní, keď máme rovnaké procesy. Musíme sa pripravovať na tento rozvrat. Takže IT odvetvie vidíme veľký potenciál, ale musíme sa pozerať aj na iné odvetvia. Vo svete prichádza o prácu množstvo ľudí a zanikajú milióny pracovných miest a toto je nepriamy vplyv, na ktorý sa musíme pripraviť. Musíme sa pripraviť, aby sme mali správne ponuky a riešenia, aby sme boli úspešní aj budúci rok. Teraz sa pozrieme na nový spôsob práce. Zvyčajne sa na to odkazuje ako nový normál, to sa aspoň takto používa v tlači. Ja to volám radšej We Work New, pretože ja vidím v názve New Normal akúsi kontradikciu. Na jednej strane je to nové, na druhej strane je to stále normálne, takže to implikuje, že sa vrátime k tým starým spôsobom. A nemyslím si, že toto je ten prípad. Mnoho vecí zostane tak, ako bývalo, ale prichádzame s novými modelmi a už sa nevrátime k tým starým modelom, že 90% našich zamestnancov pracuje v kancelárii. A na to sa musíme pripraviť. Ako to spravíme? My pracujeme v rámci 6 dynamických dimenzií. Chcem hovoriť len o zo pár z nich. Samozrejme, pýtame sa našich ľudí, ako by chceli pracovať, ale pýtame sa aj našich manažérov, čo je podľa vás ten správny model. Pozeráme sa samozrejme aj na údaje, aká bola naša produktivita, aké boli naše kľúčové ukazovatele výkonnosti, ako rýchlo sme dosiahovali výsledky. Boli sme rovnako efektívni ako predtým? Dobrou správou je, že nedošlo k veľkému poklesu. Máme oblasti, v ktorých sme zlepšili naše kľúčové ukazovatele výkonnosti. Máme oblasti, kde sme vypadli z rytmu a kde bolo ťažšie udržať to tempo v rámci vzdialenej práce a dosahovať rovnaké výsledky. K tomu sa dostanem o chvíľu. Na čo sa teraz pripravujeme, je pracovné prostredie. Našťastie sme už dnes v pozícii, kedy môžeme prejsť na prácu z domu, máme VPN technológie a mnoho našich procesov je už digitalizovaných, takže to funguje. Avšak otázka stále je, ako môžeme zlepšiť spoluprácu, ako budú vyzerať naše kancelárie v budúcnosti, ako budeme spolupracovať. Chceme sa stretávať a budeme sedieť na telefóne, alebo budeme stále v kancelárii? Nemyslím si. Čo sa týka však nových zamestnancov, inovácií a niečo, čo sme ešte predtým nerobili, samozrejme, tu je potreba sadnúť si spolu, hovoriť tvárou tvár, aby sme porozumeli nové témy, úlohy tímu a spoliehať sa na to. Takže toto je niekoľko dimenzií. Čo plánujeme, môžete vidieť na pravej strane. Pozrime sa teraz spoločne na náš model. Momentálne očakávame, že mnoho ľudí bude stále aj tak pracovať z kancelárie. My máme približne 4,000 pracovných ľudí a 16% z toho bude pravidelne pracovať v kancelárii. Na druhej strane očakávame, že budeme mať aj hybridný model. To znamená, že ľudia stále budú chodiť do práce kvôli spolupráci, ale aj tak budú tráviť väčšinu času doma. Myslíme si, že to by mohlo byť približne 60%. No a čo sa týka teleworkingu alebo telepráce, budeme mať aj zamestnancov, ktorí budú stále pracovať z doma. Predpokladáme, že to by mohlo byť približne 24%. Sú však tieto čísla vyrité do skály? Určite nie. V januári, februári alebo marci sme si mysleli, že v septembri už sa dá všetko do starých koľají. Avšak ani teraz nevieme, čo bude o 3, 4, 5, 6 mesiacov. Avšak pripravujeme sa na to a vieme sa prispôsobiť. To, že sa nezbavujeme našich kancelárií tak rýchlo a že máme dlhšiu dobu nadbytok kancelárií, nám dáva čas rozmýšľať a prispôsobovať sa. A taktiež možno prispôsobiť aj čísla. To, čo vám však chcem povedať je, že si nemyslíme, že sa vrátime úplne k tomu istému modelu, aký sme aplikovali predtým. A toto je to, na čo sa pripravujeme. Teraz sa pozrime na rizika a príležitosti. Ja som prišiel na Slovensko niekedy v lete, predtým som bol v Ázii a poviem vám, aké boli moje osobné očakávania, boli trocha naivné. Myslel som si, že v septembri budeme už mať viac osobného kontaktu a že koncom roka budeme na úrovniach podobných, ako boli pred pandémiou. Že budeme mať fyzické stretnutia, town hall meetingy, že budem fyzicky na tejto konferencii a vidieť vaše reakcie. To sa samozrejme nestalo. Avšak viedlo to k situácii, že čakáme. čakáme, kým sa situácia zlepší, odkladáme niektoré naše podujatia. Stále inovujeme, ale nie tak veľa ako predtým. Pretože si väčšinou myslíme, že toto by bolo lepšie urobiť fyzicky a podobne. No a práve toto je riziko a my si to uvedomujeme a chceme to zmeniť. Riziko spočíva v tom, že sa príliš sústredíme na bežné podnikanie a na taktiku. A tak vlastne strácame budúce príležitosti. No a my to chceme zmeniť a teraz sa na tieto budúce príležitosti pripravujeme. Čo tieto príležitosti môžu byť, môžete vidieť na pravej strane. Ešte sme sa ako spoločnosť nerozhodli, že práve do týchto odvetví vstúpime, ktoré majú pozitívne čísla, stále to vyžaduje viac analýz, plánovania a presné investície, ktoré budú potrebné. Avšak môžeme vidieť, že máme odvetvia, ktoré boli zasiahnuté viac, ktorým bude trvať dlhšie postaviť sa späť na nohy. Potom tu máme aj odvetvia, ktoré naďalej rastú. A to sú tie miesta, na ktoré sa musíme sústrediť a na základe ktorých musíme diverzifikovať naše portfólio. Ako to spravíme? Rátame s experimentmi. Samozrejme, neprídeme s nejakou finálnou ponukou, kde už je všetko pripravené, dáme na stôl ponuku a je to pripravené. Samozrejme, pracujeme s výhliadkami do budúcna, s klientmi a chceme to urobiť krok po kroku. Už hovoríme s vládou, s mestami, v oblasti digitalizácie v kontexte inteligentných miest a snažíme sa identifikovať problémy. A následne sa snažíme pomáhať s už existujúcimi riešeniami. Teraz hovoríme o experimentoch. Myslím, že je veľmi dôležité porozumieť, že experimenty môžu aj zlyhať, avšak aj napriek tomu ich musíme robiť. To znamená, že musíme byť pripravení zlyhať. Vždy hovorím o tejto kultúre zlyhania ako o obchodnom lieviku, predajnom. Musíte sledovať svoje príležitosti a neviete, či uspejete. Nemáme 100% úspešnosť, pomer úspešnosti môže byť 1:3, 1:2, ale to už musíte byť super excelentní. Ale to je v poriadku, pretože z pohľadu predaja rozumieme, že raz vyhrávame, raz vyhrá náš konkurent. Pre poskytovateľa technológií a outsourcingovej spoločnosti, ako je naša, je dôležité presunúť toto nastavenie mysle aj na zamestnancov. Vysvetliť im, že musíme robiť tieto experimenty a musíme o tom diskutovať aj so všetkými hráčmi dôležitými. Teraz hovoríme ešte o tzv. Pizza tímoch. Verím, že viete, o čom hovorím. V podstate to popisuje veľkosť efektívneho tímu. Väčšinou je to vysvetlené tak, že celému tímu by mali na večeru stačiť 2 pizze, ak je pre tento experiment a túto inováciu efektívny. Takže teraz by som chcela ešte zdôrazniť jednu moju osobnú skúsenosť, že to musíte nechať plynúť. Netreba sa hneď pýtať, aká je návratnosť investícií, akú zákazku sme získali, pretože takto preťažíme tieto týmy. A my ich musíme nechať, nech si to vyskúšajú a nech sú zodpovední za investíciu. Teraz sa pozrieme, ako to chceme urobiť v kontexte našej cesty inovácií. Máme 5 dôležitých komponentov. Jedným z nich je náš spôsob práce. Už na začiatku som spomínal, že budeme pracovať inak. Nevrátime sa k tomu, ako to bolo pred pandémiou. Teraz to voláme We Work New. Druhou témou je sústredenie sa na zákazníka. Musíme k ním byť oveľa bližšie. Naši zákazníci menia svoje požiadavky a musia to robiť rýchlo kvôli pandémii. My to musíme pochopiť, musíme im byť na blízku, byť dynamickí a podporovať ich experimentmi a inováciami. Veľmi dôležitým komponentom je aj rozhodovanie na základe údajov. Samozrejme veľa investujeme do dátovej analytiky, ako pracovať s tzv. Dátovými jazerami a podobne. Na záver mám ešte dve témy, ktoré chcem zdôrazniť. Jednou z nich sú naše podnikateľské modely. Tie sa menia nielen na strane zákazníkov, ale aj na našej strane. Musíme upustiť od workbench modelu, v rámci ktorého má každý zamestnanec svoj vlastný fyzický kútik. Musíme proaktívne vyvíjať tieto riešenia a musíme to robiť digitálne. Musíme byť schopní podporovať digitálne procesy našich zákazníkov. Toto je na dlhšiu debatu, ale toto je v skratke cesta našich inovácií. Dovoľte mi, aby som to zhrnul. Tak pandémia určite mala na nás vplyv. Mala na nás vplyv na naše podnikanie, na našich ľudí, na to, ako pracujeme. Preto musíme sme zmenili spôsob práce a nielen na istý čas, ale navždy. Musíme bližšie spolupracovať so zákazníkmi a musíme pracovať na inováciách. Je to ťažká situácia, ale každá náročná situácia so sebou prináša aj príležitosti. A my sa na tieto príležitosti pripravujeme už teraz. A robíme to pomocou našej cesty inovácií. Dostávam sa na koniec mojej prezentácie. Chcel by som sa vám všetkým veľmi pekne poďakovať za pozornosť. Pekný deň.
Good afternoon. My name is Jozef Bujnovský. I will accompany you through this discussion. Me as active person from this region, I would like to ask what is changing. I traveled a lot. I was in Asia, in North America. But now I sit at home. I used to spend my life every month on different continent. So how to realize what is going on? We will ask these questions our guests. First of all, I would like to welcome here a Czech economist and university lecturer. In the past, he worked as an advisor for Václav Havel and for Minister of Finance. He is the author of the bestseller Economy of Good and Evil. Now he teaches economy and the history of economic theories at the Faculty of Social Sciences, Charles University, and also at the University of New York in Prague. Mr. Tomáš Sedláček, welcome. Thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. The world wants vision. So my first question to you is, according to your point of view, how will the COVID-19 crisis influence the society from the negative and positive point of view, and how to see an opportunity in this? Gustav Jung said that nothing changes without crisis. Each crisis brings something, either positive or negative, and it changes people. And the change itself is worth it. But this crisis brought us to digital era. We can talk about whether it is good or not, but the direction is primary. Everyone sees it, from kids to elderly people. It touched almost everyone. The digitalization is perceived by everyone, and no one was expected this. And this is the first thing. Then we can talk about international relationships and economy. We have to create some models which won't be based on growth. But from my point of view, it is positive. Or what is positive? It is the new impulse to think about everything differently. You were talking about digital era. How will this influence smaller regions such as Kosice, Prešov? How do you see it from Prague? Do we have sufficient infrastructure? Can we use this digital infrastructure? I think that it doesn't matter whether you are in Silicon Valley or in Manhattan or in some small village. You can employ employees from all around the world, so the Silicon Valley can be everywhere. I was thinking about it that today people are transforming into global nomads. We are linked to a system, to state, or internet, which can give us the whole world. On the other hand, even on our cottages or in villages, we can live and use internet without problems. This was not possible 10 years ago, but today it is possible. So I think that people will be working for global companies from their cottages and villages, and in the breaks they will live hipster's life. Will it be possible for biggest companies? On the one side, there is digitalization. Slovakia was built on engineering. So how will this influence individual people? Will there be automatization, fourth industrial revolution? Will we lose our jobs? Should we be reskilled or upskilled? What to do now? Well, we are not moving. They move with us. If people could choose voluntarily from previous generations how to work, they would definitely choose this direction. The phenomenon of the city itself is some special category. The economy started by the fact that people moved to cities. This debate is also in Bible, in the Old Testament, where the debates are about life in city, which is considered as decadent, and then there is the life in nature, on the other hand, which is considered as a life which is dedicated to God. So try to see these dynamics in the upcoming period. The problem with Lot was that it was in city, and his uncle Abraham was living in not Abraham. His ancestor lived in nature. But I don't want to talk about Bible now. So as we moved from nature to city is some artificial intelligence. There is nothing natural here. It is only done for people. So I think that like this, we will move to some new Jerusalem, to virtual reality or virtual city, which is extremely separated from physical city. Similarly, like city is separated from nature. So in this sense, there will be a migration to some new state, new area which doesn't have boundaries. It is called internet. It accepts immigrants, kids, independent people, everyone. So I think that the first wave of the work which is now being realized is something what I called capital. We still do have fabrics which help us to move, but we still want to move further. We have to learn to accept higher standards in terms of design, automatization, and so on. We have to prepare ourselves on the development of our economy. An additional question for you. You said that it started in villages, people moved to cities, which are artificial, and now you are saying that we are going back to villages. But how will the cities look like? I think that cities will serve for meetings. There will be things which we want to live together. My optimistic vision and urbanistic vision is that all the weird parts from city will be separated, and something between city and village will be created. Those who like life in city will live in city, and those who like living in village, they will stay there, because today's era allows us to do it. I am really looking forward to this. I used to spend a lot of time in plane. I will link this discussion with a poll. We asked our audience, what is your biggest concern our country will face in the aftermath of the global crisis within the next decade? So there is a rise of extremism and sustainability of democracies, which wins. Now I would like to invite our other guests here. The first one is Juraj Girman, Vice President, Deutsche Telekom IT Solutions Slovakia, and the second one is Petr Chladek, CEO of South Meridian Innovation Center. Welcome. Good afternoon. And Mr. Tomáš Sladeček stays here with us. So I will start. This poll asked about the negative things, what to expect. So how do you see it? Crisis has itself a negative connotations, but many inspirational people say that we have to see an opportunity in this crisis. How do you perceive it? How do you see the COVID crisis? Mr. Girman? For me, crisis is only a name. The whole system changed towards something which we don't like. We cannot do our business. We cannot live like we used to. But there is change always before crisis. And that change leads to either something bad or something good. This change will change the parameters of the system. We have to understand how the system has changed and where are the risks. For me, it is important to leave the thinking of which we have here before the change. So if we talk about crisis as a chance, I think it's a cliche, because someone who is not ready to understand the change, for him it could be very dangerous on the other hand. But it is important to leave the old thinking and to start thinking in a new way. Mr. Chladek? Good afternoon. A little bit of ideas. I agree with the fact that this whole situation, crisis, widened our life within digital system. the digital life is omnipresent. But one thing which I would like to highlight is the fact that we cannot forget the biggest problems, which are obvious and which still be here, which still be here in the upcoming years. I could name many of them, but first of all, climate change, the demographic changes, cybersecurity, which is linked with the digital era. I think that it is very important to think about these things and do not forget about them. Maybe it is only my estimate, but we won't remember these years as some special break, but we will talk mostly about climate lockdown and so on. Thank you very much. I would like to link this discussion with realizing. Now I would like to ask all of you. I have two questions for you. So, to what extent will technological conditions and digitalization change the way of our life from the point of view of city, region, and company? Mr. Sedlacek, from the societal and macro point of view, what do you think? Let's look at companies and regions, maybe. I really liked what my colleague said before me. He summarized it. It is important to realize how digitalization changed our civilization. For instance, development of iPhones, and try to realize how we will change in the upcoming 3 years. It will be an exponential growth. So, if you take into consideration how the society was changed during the last 12 years, I would say that the change is more radical than if Sharia law would start to would be applied here. So the change now is crucial. And now we will look at the working of companies and state sector. How to say it? In the history of political economy, the most free and the most wealthy societies are those which are not governed centrally. 3 weeks ago, I was in Iraq, and there we were talking about the fact that the biggest wealth of a nation depends on the creative potential of citizens. Communism tries to fight this, as well as feudalism and Nazism. Every there was an idea that if people are being coordinated strictly, they work better. But we lost this idea, and managers cannot coordinate people strictly, but they have to cooperate with their employees. Let's imagine if we were able to create some system where managers would manage themselves. Imagine there will be some ecological lockdown. This is perfect, by the way. I like this new idea. So try to imagine that in the future people won't work only for one company, and the structure won't be hierarchical. But within the companies, there will be a change because firms will rely on the creative potential of their people. If everyone could work from home, it would be perfect. We would save many hours because we wouldn't have to travel, and we will also save money for which we pay for renting of the buildings.
Celý den prázdnej, to je prostě vlastně do nebe volající neefektivita. A ty kanceláře, ty jsou zase celý večer prázdný. Jo, takže my vlastně máme jakoby dva hubby. Já myslím, že to přetvoří město neskutečně zajímavým způsobem.
I think it will change the town radically, as we find out that not in all employments, for example, a whole bank is closed. No one is there. It's dark there. It seems like from a futuristic movie. However, the bank works still. So I could probably close this idea by Dorian Brown. I cannot remember his name. Gray is dead, but his soul is walking. Bank is dead in its body, but the soul continues to go. And I wish that the ministries started to be, kind of dead in their buildings, but their soul would continue to walk. So we could consider it like a little push to the digitalization, and even older people see that it's possible to do it more quickly, and it's not necessary to have everything physically in real life. So our children actually see this, an obstruction. The center of the gravity of our children, I guess, is in the virtual world, and it's attracting us there too. So a lot of us spend 50% of their time with screens. So banks start to be empty, but the soul is aiming upside. So how will this digitalization change the businesses from your point of view? From a big company, will this big company be empty? What does it mean for big companies? Definitely, I think that IT sector was always connected somehow, and I think this COVID crisis just accelerates all the changes. The change of the system management. This is something that has been that was discussed a few years ago, and it's the COVID crisis will only make it happen more quickly. Now we're getting into a situation that this will be new for everyone. Businesses won't try to organize hierarchically, where at the top are seniors. The decisions are too slow, so it will lead to digitalization, hierarchy, holacracy. But I see a little bit of problem in our history. The hierarchically organized companies, I don't know how they will be able to implement these changes. It's a cultural change. People usually want to have a reason to curse. They will change the system of management, and how work will be organized. The system will also be changed. Definitely, people will remain in companies and in cities. The number won't be that high, but I can imagine that the businesses will need some problems will need more creative solutions. They will have to meet each other, argue, draw on flip charts, etc. And I don't think that will immediately be available in this virtual space. So they will need some collaboration spaces. They'll be able to work creatively. And then there will be a part of people who will work permanently from home. The vision is really optimistic, but it will also require a change in the mindset, because I don't think that we are really prepared. It's obvious from the first wave or second wave. There are people who are extremely stressed, or they feel pressured. Let's suppose that there are 4 of you at home with 70 square apartment. Your wife works there, then you need to help your children with education. And it's an extremely big pressure on people, and this is something that we'll have to prepare for. The digitalization will be essential. The change of functioning of businesses is the question of survival for companies, and we will also have to deal with problems of digitalization. If we see how this political fight takes place in this virtual area, it's really not appropriate. And we will have to deal with this from the point of view of companies. One of the most complex regional centers in Europe. How do you see it? How will you help smaller and bigger companies to innovate? Or will you help them financially, or from the point of view of processes? How do you think that this digitalization will impact your companies? First of all, I'd like to mention that how we saw economy 10 or 15 years ago. We used to talk or think that in the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, or Poland, there is the dual economy. On one hand, there were foreign bank franchises which put there their operations. And on the other hand, there were local companies that came to existence through transformation of socialistic companies. And I was talking about this dual economy. These innovation agencies or Czech investment in Czech Republic and other companies in Slovakia, these were responsible to make it possible for, let's say, Kia in Slovakia and other companies to survive. Today it's a great challenge. On one hand, we have 2 worlds. On one hand, we have all these foreign franchises that are developed digitally, and they can cope up with everything very efficiently. And usually behind this, there are people who invest and are not afraid to do that. On the other hand, we have in intersector or cross-sector as startups which just were created lately. And they are also digitally developed. And next to that, there is this another group for people, and these are small and medium-sized enterprises which have difficulties. At the beginning of 19 years, these companies, some of their parts were being sold, and they are not able to adapt the digital technology so quickly to get on this into this global economy. There is usually a higher rate of employment than necessary because they are not digitally developed. And we see a great risk of this period, that they won't be able to be competitive because they have low price of the labor. And this is a great risk that I see. I think that this should be the main role of sectors, innovation agencies, to help these small and medium-sized enterprises, to show them the road, so that they are able to, in the next 5 years, to survive. Otherwise, it can somehow have a bad impact on the Czech or Slovak economy. It's not just in companies, but it's in the whole society. But it's the most visible in these companies. I will follow up to the risk you mentioned. What can I, as an individual, or individuals in general, our audience, how can they prepare for this? The fourth industrial revolution and digitalization, automation of processes is ahead of us, and a lot of people may lose their jobs. Will they? Won't they? We don't know. How to prepare for that, mentally or through reskilling, through education. It seems like the change is really fast, and I want to know, what should I do, what I should learn, what should I change? Try to be more specific. Mr. Sedlacek. Yeah, I thought we had someone with a similar name. So I don't think we are ready. We have to prepare for this. But that is what is interesting about the crisis, because there were some other crises that we weren't prepared for, that like neither Europe nor the United States. In 2008, we weren't also ready as economists. So this time, there's one entity that was prepared perfectly, and that was the internet. And that is interesting, that internet is a chaotic, not managed, strange organism, not organization. And despite that, it's more prepared than the state, which the state has different managers and crisis institutions and programs. And it's a miracle that the internet didn't really fall down, except for the Netflix lower quality of streaming. But otherwise, we didn't need any new programs. So all of these programs that we use are already here. Let's imagine that we had ICQ tens of years ago. So we are not ready. Internet was ready. So it was ready that the whole planet will move to internet. Schools, businesses, international relations. I cannot say that I don't like that. The debate is, deeper, and the transaction costs for the meeting are lower. So the costs are at almost zero. You don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to go anywhere. We're all in comfort of our own homes. So it is actually a very expensive routine or custom that we do. How can individuals prepare? We need to be our own capitalists of our own talents, and we need to learn to function as good as we used to in our offices. We need to find our own boss, but in ourselves. It's one of the philosophical and my insights. Me and my colleague Monica, we were actually working on a list of universities that offer their trainings for free. You get a proper certification that you studied. And these are some of the prestigious universities, Harvard, Georgetown. And these trainings are from scientific ones to, I don't know, Islamic studies, Christian civilizations, or how to lead a happy life kind of trainings. First of all, we need to push ourselves forward. We need to be our own boss. We have to push our boundaries. And the second thing is we need to have a good computing skills. It needs to be 4.0. It's like if you couldn't read several years ago. And the last philosophical advice is to look at the world around us. It's a very interesting period. And let's just see how some things from the body are moving. They are moving to a body that is not material. And let's have a look, for example, on alarm clock. Today we have algorithms for that. Google didn't do anything else. Then it took out the spirit of golden pages. So in principle, the spirit is out of the body, actually. It was said that we need to be the bosses of our own. How will this look in big companies, in real life? People will be more external, they will be more independent and more responsible. How should we prepare for that? Well, I think that it's actually what my colleague was talking about. The responsibility is on us. We were talking about this upskilling program, and this upskilling program starts inside of me. So if I will be waiting for an impulse from outside, it can be. It cannot be. We cannot be pushed by our employers. We need to do it. We need to make the decision. Successful companies will be those that will be able to motivate the people. This is really essential then to learn. I think that the coding will be the new writing, and every one of us should build their own brand. In these uncertain times, it's important that what people tell about you when you're not in the room should fit to what the company needs. Think positively. Negative mindset has never brought anyone anything good. We need to think creatively. Tank 34 was created under pressure, but it was a different situation. And I think we need a lot of positive vision, not only for us, but also for our organizations. And the vision of a positive change. So when I am successful somewhere in 2 or 3 years or in a year, how I accomplish that. And this is important to visualize and a successful change of ourselves, of our companies.
Mr. Chladek, I think that your institution provides a space for people which are creative, proactive, who are agile. How do you see it? What people do you need in order to prepare and in order to work within such innovation hub? I would like to highlight what my colleagues said. These are very important things, and I agree with them. We have to take the responsibility into our hands. This is the most important thing. It is clear. I want to add some things. There are also different ingredients which are there. We need courage and we want to risk. The world is complex. It is more difficult when we function digitally. Everyone feels this transformation. It is different than the communication in person. If we would together now, we would have a cafe or we would talk before. So it would be completely different if we were together now. We have to learn how to plan conflicts. And these are things which we were learning, but no one knew that it will become such an important thing. So from the point of view, these things are easy and clear. But I would like to add one thing to this. Mr. Sedlacek mentioned it, that we have to see some capitalist within us. I think that the key competence is to be able to do business, to learn business skills. Because if I want to change something, I will definitely need these business skills which are universal today. We see that more and more people want to learn from. If you want to change the world, the most effective way is to start company even you can do things even more effectively than American president or Chinese president, because today's world offers us many things and you can start do everything from various places, from Prague, from Kosice, from everywhere, from Prosciutto, from everywhere. There was never such an opportunity like today that we can do business from everywhere. Thank you for your answer. Now let's look at Slido and the questions of our public. Mr. Sedlacek, which of the states is able to handle the pandemic? What do you think? Well, none, I think. Maybe China, if you look at the transformation and the speed of the transformation. But the justice of the economic crisis is good. We have Sweden here, and we don't know whether their curiosity or whether their curiosity was efficient. I like on this crisis is that we are in ignorance. What links us is not knowing. A group of economists which wouldn't agree on each other's ideas, we are now meeting and we cannot find the end of our debates. because we are in a situation about which no philosopher was talking. So we are linked in ignorance. There is no one who would know what to do.
Subject supposed to know, někdo, kdo jako ví, jo, ať už je to úředník, nebo role otce ve vývoji dítěte, nebo v totalitním režimu, nebo i ve vědě, nebo i v teologii, jo, někdo, kdo ví, jo, no a jenom teď vlastně skolaboval i ten
But now
ten někdo, kdo ví, jo.
The someone who knows collapsed. Actually, no one knows what should we do now.
Ani demokraté, ani islám, ani křesťanství, ani judaismus, ani
No religion knows. No one has solution. So maybe my colleagues will have better idea, but I cannot give you one concrete answer. Maybe we will know later, but I like to get inspired. Pan Girman, what do you think? Is some country an inspiration? Well, it depends on why. Maybe China, like Mr. Sedlacek said. But if we realize that the global economy is linked, what does it mean better? Everyone is in crisis. So if Mr. Sedlacek doesn't know, I don't know either. Mr. Chladek? I really don't know as well. But I think it is early to evaluate this. We will see this in 2 or 3 years. But we need some criteria. I don't like saying this, but what is the price of economic prosperity and the price of human life? This is a very difficult debate, and I really don't want to talk about this right now. I see that today's situation brings us many questions, and this discussion could continue. I'm very happy for your insights and your answers. Thank you very much, Tomáš Sedlacek, Juraj Girman, and Petr Chladek. I will summarize it. So it is necessary to take the responsibility to be proactive, to be our own capitalists and bosses. We have to look what is going on and realize that the world will change. People will move from cities to villages, and we will have to be more active, to be more creative in innovation hubs, in companies, and in a society as a whole. But we will spend most of the time with our families, and we will shorten the time of travel, for instance. So thank you very much for our debate. Thank you very much. Our labor market is standing before huge changes. Many jobs to which the current educational system wants to adapt do not even exist yet. In the end of our conference, we are coming back to the youngest generation and to a successful story of Kosice International School. Her director, Michael Creswell, will give us a presentation on the topic Children Innovating the Future. Michael, the floor is yours.
Dobrý deň všetkým. Volám sa Michael Creswell a som riaditeľom Medzinárodnej základnej školy v Košiciach. Naším motom je deti inovujúce budúcnosť. Logicky to možno znie, že to nie je možné, že? COVID-19 ovplyvnil školstvo v celom svete do takej míry, že muselo prevziať nové formy a nové tvary. Avšak problém vidím v tom, ako sa to robí. Tento prieskum sa robil približne pred 10 rokmi a teraz sa to robí presne rovnako. Pred pandémiou bolo vo svete akési spoločné úsilie, v rámci ktorého došlo k prechodu od zastaralého vzdelávania 20. storočia k digitálnemu, modernejšiemu a prepojenému, uľahčujúcemu učeniu. A toto začalo sa objavovať v mysliach niektorých učiteľov, ktorí boli narodení v 80. rokoch a neskôr. Vidíme rozdiel nejakej filozofii učenia a tá spochybňovala to, ako sa učilo predtým. V sektore rozvoja vidíme, že že aj toto bolo ovplyvnené. Čiže máme tu akúsi modernizáciu, kapitalizmus, ekonomický rast, neoliberalizmus a štrukturalistický v podstate náhľad. Tieto vplyvy vlastne sú aj prepojené s rôznymi subjektmi štátnej správy, občianskej spoločnosti a súkromného sektora. Máme štátne subjekty, ktoré sa snažia vyhovieť všetkým požiadavkám. Potom tu máme občianske združenia, ktoré sa snažia vybudovať nejaké vzťahy. A potom tu máme súkromný sektor, ktorý sa sústredí na zisk a na dôveryhodnosť. Takže vzdelanie je tu v podstate akýsi medzere. Príkladom je, že učitelia na Slovensku učia približne do polovice dňa a bolo mi povedané, že v podstate deti nedokážu pokojne sedieť pri stole s knihou dlhšie. No a videl som lavice, z ktorých deti pozerali na tabuľu a niekto pred ňou stál, ako keby strážil všetky vedomosti vo vesmíre. Viem aj, koľko zarábajú učitelia na Slovensku a rovná sa to tajskému asistentovi učiteľa v Bangkoku, ktorý ani nemá titul. A toto je pre mňa úplný opak toho, ako by malo dnes vzdelávanie vyzerať. V niektorých z súkromných, ale aj iných subjektov si myslia, že vzdelávanie by malo byť hmotné, že to musíme byť schopní vidieť a chytiť. A neveria, že je to správne. No a to je opäť presný opak toho, ako by malo vyzerať učenie v dnešnej digitálnej dobe. Učitelia musia mať zručnosti a poznatky pre lídrov zajtrajška. Všetko staré sa stáva bezvýznamným. My nepoužívame, nie je to o tom, ako používate učebnicu, ale o tom, aké máte certifikácie. Aké použite programy a aplikácie. Ako povedal Yoda, musíme prekonať sami seba a to je skutočná definícia všetkých majstrov. Takže musíte tie všetky veci preniesť do moderného sveta. Musíte byť priekopníkom v niečom, čo ešte nikto nevymyslel. No a to prichádza pomalou inklúziou a balancom. Moja škola je spoluprácou všetkých troch sektorov a ich subjektov. No a ak môžeme vlastne prepojiť tieto tri sektory, ako potom môže existovať miesto, kde deti inovujú budúcnosť? Nechceme mať nejaké zastaralé postupy. Máme osnovu, ktorá je inovatívna a je jedinečná. Žiadna škola na Slovensku ju nemá, pretože poskytujeme medzinárodný program organizácie International Baccalaureate a nie je tam žiaden zásah zo strany štátu. Naše postupy sú založené na bádaní a na povzbudzovaní študentov, aby sami hľadali riešenia. Používame technológie, ktoré podporujú budúce pracovné sily. Učiteľ je vlastne len sprostredkovateľ, nemá stať vpredu triedy. Nemáme učebnice, investovali sme do virtuálnej reality. Máme robotiku Edison, máme iPady a podobne. Momentálne chceme investovať do videoprodukcie, ktorá bude vybavená zeleným platnom a podobne. Skutočne chceme použiť zdroje 21. storočia na vzdelávanie tu v Košiciach. Začíname cestu, ktorá môže nakoniec prispieť k progresu celého kraja. Určite to nebude jednoduché, čakajú nás ešte mnohé výzvy, ale myslím si, že toto je pre vzdelávanie ten správny krok. Nielen v Košiciach, ale pre celé Slovensko. Snažíme sa vychovávať digitálnu generáciu. Chceme poskytovať vzdelávanie, ktoré je inovatívne a je založené na technológii, ktorá môže priniesť rast aj technologicky, aj ekonomicky. Deti raz budú inovovať budúcnosť. Vy to uvidíte sami. Ďakujem. Michael, thank you for a really symbolic dot after the conference. And I would like to ask the Managing Director of AmCham in the Slovak Republic, Mr. Ronald Blaško, to give a final word. Hello everyone, thank you very much for the word. Her Excellency, Mr. State Secretary, honored guests, ladies and gentlemen. I have this nice obligation. I might be hindering you to start cut wood, you hipsters, but I'd like to ask you for a little bit of attention. I'd like to ask all of our sponsors that were here today with us, supported us financially, and this conference wouldn't be successful without them. It's Deutsche Telecom IT Solutions and the US Embassy to Slovakia, Microsoft Czech Republic and Slovakia, US Steel Kosice, Global Logic, and the Slovak American Foundation. Thank you, a big thank you for your support. I would also like to thank you for your attention that you have given to us the whole afternoon. There were a lot of ideas, a lot of terminologies. In me, the most resonating word was magnet, collaboration, co-creation, partnership, leadership, creativity, innovation, upskilling, synergies, opportunities. These were all the words. I would like to ask all of you that we think together about these words, how to change this region into a magnet. This word has been mentioned so many times in order to achieve that people were from this region were attracted back to their homeland. We want to achieve the prosperity of the city. And there was this saying that we don't know, but even those who should know don't know. So now I'd like to call all of you to search for the business spirit inside of you and the capitalism to change this region into a magnet that will be talked about. And that the people and the leaders in this region didn't have to call foreign experts to give us advice, but that the experts from our region were called to foreign countries to give advice to them. Thank you very much for your attention and have a nice rest of the day.